Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to your Friday night Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise community race here on the Speed Gaming network of Twitch channels. Coming to you live on Speed Gaming 3 tonight. My name is Invenerable, and I'm joined by the always affable Vitasia. Vitasia, how are you doing tonight?
Oh man, I am so excited. There's just more Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise, just more and more coming up. We have our community race tonight, and then almost immediately after, over on RPG Limit Break, we have another one of our league matches going on, and that'll be here in about 2 hours. So as soon as we get finished up here, we can go right in for some more Free Enterprise.
And if you want more, this entire month is going to be full of it. The round of 32 has been set up. We have our 32 people actually duking it out for a spot in the league playoffs that'll be happening this September, and there are big matches with big names in this community going on nearly every single day.
Yeah, and you look at the schedule, and there's the round of 32. It's a quad matchup, so there's always going to be just 4 racers going on. A little bit different than these community races when we have upwards to 10, 20, 30. I think we've had as many as 50 people or so in the community races, where it's just kind of a crapshoot and someone's going to get lucky. When you're in the 4 quad races, it absolutely is about who makes the smart gambles, who makes the smart plays, and who does the logical plays that the other opponents don't do. But for these community races, we do get a bit of a taste of what it's going to be like in the round of 32, because I believe all of these runners are also in the round of 32 at some point, aren't they?
I believe you are correct. And yeah, speaking of the round of 32, incidentally, these flags tonight do look a little bit familiar. Been seeing them a bit lately. Do you want to talk a little bit about what we're seeing with those?
Absolutely. So with the round of 32, the qualifier flags were a little bit different. It's a little bit easier, particularly with both J2 and K1 flags. J2 allows not only all the Japanese items that we're in, but also the abilities. For example, Yang's power, Halum's bluff, things of that nature. With the J1 flags, the abilities are removed. The items are still in there, but we have Young right off the bat here. He's not going to have that power or grace ability. So that's just a slight difference that we're going to see there. The big one, though, is K2, which means not only is all the key item locations going to have a key item, but also all of the summoned monster locations. So Odin, Sylph, Leviathan, Ashura, and Bahamut, but also all of the weapon slots up on the moon. So there's an extra 10 locations that we have to check, and that makes the moon very, very heavy and important to get to.
Absolutely, and we are underway. Let's see what our first gift item is. Oh, okay, not so at the bacon spot. Oh, and it's just a drain spear. Nothing you opened yet, just an interesting weapon for Kane that has some utility, but probably not going to see too much use unless we're in a very interesting and strategical situation.
Absolutely, but our starting characters, I don't know if you can really ask for much better. Both Young and Rosa. Now, having a white mage right off the bat knows that you're going to be pretty well set, and then really kind of a top shelf fighter in Young that doesn't require a ton of equipment to really be good. That's just nice to see.
Absolutely, because compared to our qualifier flags, and really any flag set where you have T4, S3 or higher, it's much harder to find really high tier gear. And so having a character who doesn't rely on that to do damage in the end game is a huge relief. I will take Yang every chance I get under this current flag set.
Absolutely. So we have a couple folks go ahead and clearing out Baron. We have I saw some crystal armor, and I did see a sorcerer robe, so that'll be immediately put on Rosa. We do see Rivers actually foregoing the early check over here into Baron, and instead goes right to Damsian, clears that out, and we do see a wizard hat as well for Rosa as well.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I'm speaking to Rivers and watching some of his streams and his practice. He's been doing his best to make sure that he never has to double dip a spot unless it's completely free. If he thinks that he's going to be going to Baron anyway to clear out the end to get a character, he's just going to go do the looting at the same time he's there the second time. But of course, there may be really useful items there just free in town that would make other bosses trivial for our 3 other featured runners that he may find he has to bang his head against a few times. So we'll see how this risk-reward pans out for him.
We do see a couple checks. We see Muppets and Crimson are in the Village of Mist, kind of clearing that out. But Rivers is over here. He found both Lifes and Hourglass 3s in the item shop in Silvera. Those are 2 very solid items that you get. Lifes are, of course, helpful, not only just because they're lives, but they also help with grinding at certain spots. So that was a really nice early find there for Rivers. Looks like he's on his way over here to the Antlion Cave in the meanwhile, while Muppets and Crimson are pretty much shadowing each other, going over here to where we've already been in Damsian.
Collecting a little more loot. The life potion, for those who are wondering, why would a life potion be helpful in grinding? This goes to a certain glitch in Final Fantasy IV, which is that life potions and life spells revive characters based on their vitality stat. Monsters don't have vitality stats. So if you target one of them with a life item, spell, whatever, right when it's dying, it will then revive the monster. 0 vitality means it revives with 0 HP, and it instantly dies a second time for bonus XP.
Yeah, it's most helpful in what's called the D-Machine grind if you're in the Giant of Babel, but it's really helpful in a lot of different boss situations. For example, Dark Imps or any other boss where you can kind of get some extra experience associated with it. Ooh, a tiara here as well. That's going to be a nice item there for Rosa.
Absolutely. It may not increase her spellcasting ability. It only buffs the black magic stat, not the white one, but it gives really great magic defense and evasion. A wonderful item to have, even at the end game on her.
I believe that, other than the ribbon, it's one of the best defensive stats there. Oh, and we have a heroine robe. That effectively turns any of your females into just a frontline powerhouse.
Oh, and it is going right on Rosa. She is going to be shooting these arrows for hopefully huge amounts of damage. Heroine robe, of course, bumping strength, agility, and vitality by 10 points each at the penalty of 10 points to each of the magic stats. So let's see how much damage she puts out on our first boss of the run, Odin, here at the Antlion spot.
123. That's not bad. I think you might be a little bit worried at this point in time in terms of what's going to end up happening. Oh, 285. That's better.
Yeah,
might be a little less worried.
Those iron arrows, just no matter how high the character's strength and agility are, iron arrows aren't going to do quite the work that you'd see with an Artemis bow or Artemis arrows.
Well, I think they're darkness arrows.
Oh, pardon me. I did not see that he had re-equipped. Thank you.
No problem. And over here we get our first look at Mount Hobbs. Crimson Avix is over here giving us a quick peek. And we have the Dark Cecil fight. Rose is going to take a dirt nap, and Kane is left with 1 health left, but we will get a Kane. And our key item here is going to be the Baron Key. That does unlock not only another key item spot, but another location specifically for another character to get.
Mm-hmm. And not just one key item spot. Because this is K2, that will also unlock the Odin spot, which may be a little too difficult to handle at this point, unless it's certain bosses that we can kind of cheese with the N1 flag being active. But Baron Castle, very loaded under these flags. Ton of treasures, character, 2 key item spots to check. A quick question from chat. Mr. Crimson, no key item at start. Bagan actually gave our character, the Bagan spot gave our characters the Drain Spear, which Crimson can actually make use of now if he so chooses.
It wouldn't be great, and Rivers is about to pick up his cane as well. Oh, we just saw Crimson give us our first look at what was in the Kaipo item spot, but I missed it. Oh! Maybe it's nothing important.
Hopefully not. Of course, many items that we look for on these, one of the flags we have active tonight is the J1 flag. For those of you who played Final Fantasy II on your Super Nintendos, as it was called at the time, you're going to see a lot of stuff in Free Enterprise that I don't remember that being there, and that's because so many of what we call J items were dummied out of the game. The J1 and 2 flags put them back in, and we get to use a lot of them to great effects. And depending on which ones our characters find, we'll feel free to mention notable ones as we see them being used. Mr. Ubik in the chat and Dark Falls pointing out that there were coffins in Kaipo, which are very expensive but very useful depending on which grind fights our characters and our runners end up utilizing.
Oh, absolutely. I always try to pick up at least 3 or 4 coffins, not only because you can help with some early grinds, but there are also some bosses like the Dark Imps and some other, just normal enemy bosses that are really weak to those, and you can cheese some of those in the end flags specifically. So, for example, if we get lucky with those end flags and we have something in that Odin spot, we might be able to get something pretty early if you have those coffins.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The Baron Guard fight is another one. Dark Imp, upon transforming to the Dark Dragon, loses his boss flag underneath these particular flag set. If you ever see us on a night where we're running N2, of course, all this cheesing goes out the window, and you are stuck dealing every bit of that HP damage one way or another.
That would make quite a bit of difference with this Dark Cecil fight that they have for Kain. It's not just hang out for 3 turns and let him get hit. You have to defeat him, and he does have a ton of health.
Luckily, this spot, the Mom Bomb spot, wouldn't be too harsh, but still, it's much better to have a free fight than have to utilize whatever resources you have and burn them on something this early.
Absolutely. So we do see the Fabul gauntlet begin down here for Rivers, and it is that Baron Guard spot. So, and we did just see Rosa use life on an enemy that was dead. So a little bit of the life cheese right there to get some bonus XP.
Should be getting 1.5 times the normal value from this fight accordingly. Very nice total right there. Yeah, like Mr. Ubik's pointing out in chat, that's one of the bosses that coffins work against. The hourglass items, which use stop, work against them. Tons of status effects can be applied if it's one of those kind of regular enemy boss slots, so long as you're under N0 or N1 flags.
And it looks like for the Fabul Gauntlet, we were rewarded with the Tower Key. So another key item that we ended up getting. Once we get to the Underworld, that might incentivize the Tower of Babel lower half a little bit more. Until then, though, that's just going to be sitting there waiting for our access to the Underworld yet.
And we have 2 ways, ultimately, of accessing the Underworld. We're either going to find the Magma Key, which will let our runners throw it down the well in Agert and open the easy path through the mountain, just skip right in there. Or, if it's hidden elsewhere, we may end up with the Hook, in which case you have to go through the Eblin Cave and the upper Tower of Babel, a much harsher sequence to bust through.
Some illusions, I think that would be the only real thing of note in the Fabul item shop here. So we're going to see where Rivers ends up heading next. Rivers has done probably a little bit less treasure hunting. He hasn't stopped in Baron yet. He didn't stop in Mist. He kind of took a shortcutted path through Dempsey, and he didn't go up top to get the hovercraft quite yet. So he has done, I think, less treasure hunting than the others, and that makes it appear as though he's slightly ahead.
Absolutely. But on the other hand, we may run into a boss at any point. Like, we don't have Underworld access yet. We could run into any number of bosses, which our other runners' additional loot will give them the advantage in, and we'll see them slingshot back ahead. Too soon to tell, though. Everyone's still mostly just covering each other's ground for now.
Absolutely. So Rivers did go and check what was in the Troya. There's 2 item shops in there, so he went there. Looks like he's doing the item shop cleanup, just checking to see what all is in these item shops before he really commits himself. Looks like he's gearing up to go to Baron and use that Baron key. Remember, he hasn't been there, and you did mention earlier that he kind of tries to focus on one area at a time. If he cannot double dip something, it behooves him to.
Mm-hmm. And that's one reason why I'm sure it's a bit of a sigh of relief for our runners who are finding this tower key in Eblin. There's nothing worse than when you're running out of spots to check and you begin to realize, am I going to have to go into Lower Babel and single dip it with the chance of coming back again a second time? No one wants... There are several places where single dipping kind of works out. If you're going to Sylph Cave to find Yang and get the completely free item from his wife Sheila, good. having to go up the entire Tower of Babel and then all the way back down, and then possibly having to come back and go up it halfway again. No one wants to do that if we can help it. We want to go fast.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Yeah, River's now doing that Baron looting that we mentioned earlier. Picking up a few handy things like that Boreas, casts Ice 2 on all enemies with a pretty decent attack power.
And we did see a Tella here. Looks like we do have a lunar boss guarding him. We'll see which lunar boss. Plague.
Ooh, and we do have, yeah. Plague, kind of fortunate to see at this spot, kind of not. Like, on the one hand, this is probably the easiest boss spot in the game. Only like 300 HP or so, dies in a hurry. But Plague is one of the bosses that you can pretty easily cheese if it's in a harder spot. So losing your easy boss on an easy spot feels a little bad, but, you know, any port in a storm.
And I am slightly amused that Evil Tella became the optimum of all things.
The boss that he was seeking so much help to defeat. Sometimes you become your own enemy. These things happen.
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
To see yourself become an octopus. I gotcha. Just mind flayer things.
Oh, God. And we do see Rivers using, to his advantage, all of those items. He's using the Boreas item, which does cast Ice 2 on an enemy. At this point, it's just powerful magic hitting Optimum. He does retain his elemental weaknesses, but what you gonna do? You might as well hit him with as much stuff as you have.
Yeah, definitely. Because although those J items, the ones that cast, elemental magic like that, can help you blast through the early game, you do get to a point where, for the most part, they aren't doing the damage your characters are. So, burn them if you got them, or in this case, freeze them.
Oh, and there's our underworld access with the hook hiding on Tella. We do see Scratch Dragon over here. Looks like he's climbing Mount Ordeals at this point in time. This could be kind of a risky play if you don't have really a reason to do so, because it is 3 bosses. But at the same time, it could be a key item that's hiding there.
And also, Scratch Dragon has already... Ooh, Asura. This can be a very tricky spot if you don't have the tools to deal with her. But going up Ordeals, aside from the benefit of the key item, potential key item location, there's also the Crystal Chamber, which does several things for you. It gives Cecil his class change from Dark Knight to Paladin, no matter where he is. It doesn't have to be in your party. When you find him, he'll already be in Paladin form, and it unlocks the rest of Tella's spells. Scratch has already seen Tella in the Baron Inn, and so he may be thinking, if I clear this out, as soon as I pick up Tella, he won't be great, he's still Tella, but he'll at least have utility.
Yep. In the meanwhile, we see Rivers, who does not have time to go over. He is going immediately into Baron. It's interesting. He got his underworld access, but he's going to go ahead and clear out Baron because he's still hoping for that magma key to avoid it. Or, the crystal could be here too. So, might as well.
Absolutely. And that's always one thing that you have to decide. Like, this is a game of... It's pretty simple once you've done a few seeds to know exactly what each key item opens for you. At that point, it becomes more of strategical and tactical decisions. Can my party tackle this location? Do I have better options on the table? And although there's a ton of places to check in Underworld, it may be more efficient for Rivers to go ahead and gain levels by fighting bosses, gain key items that may unlock other characters, or even, like you said, just find the magma key straight up, cut Evelyn out of the equation altogether. We do know that he's about to run into Kenatsu at the Vigan spot, but don't quite know yet who will be on the throne of Baron.
All right, Muppets is going to be hit the second one with Tella. Both he and Crimson are still following each other quite a bit. We do see Scratch still pushing through here up on Mount Ordeals, and he gets a back attack looter boss. Uh-oh.
Oh, I was rooting for Wyvern, of course. Even though the developer of this game, Boardface, did make it to where Wyvern is not quite so bad at this spot, it's still terrible. Ogopogo, not much better. We'll see if Scratch can break his way through here.
and nothing really that can do any elemental damage to Ogopogo at this point in time, so he's just trying to keep himself healed up. Luckily, the big waves do percentage-based damage. You just have to make sure you have at least half your health, otherwise it starts to get a little dicey.
Absolutely. Ogopogo always opens the fight doing 2 consecutive big waves. Each does 25% HP, spends a little time using other attacks, and then does a single big wave, another gap, then 2 big waves. So we'll see if... Ooh, that could be bad. Okay, they're still up. That was only the single wave. We have a very watery restream going on right now.
yeah. Kenyatso and Ogopogo going on, and it looks like Crimson is going to give us our first peek into the Eblan Cave. He's going right for it. He's saying, nah, Baron, I'm going right to the underworld. You do get another character over here, and you also end up getting access to another item shop that's kind of buried. I believe if and help me understand this because I'm a little bit murky, if the items shop and the weapon and armor shop, because it's behind a tier, it's considered a little bit better than your tier 1 weapon and armor shops. Is that right?
Absolutely. It's still not guaranteed. It pulls from pools on each thing. But typically, if an item, weapon, armor shop is gated behind a key item, you're more likely to find better loot there. So could find some stuff here. Like at level 17, 18, I really doubt Crimson Avix is going to go all the way through to the Rubicante spot, but they will get a free character. They will get to check these shops, and there's a ton of loot here as well. You just have to watch out for the one trap chest, but I think that he's equipped to handle it.
All right, so Rivers is continuing on, and French Vanilla Bacon here.
Bacon has usurped the throne.
It's not quite vanilla. It's vanilla-ish, so it's French vanilla. We did see Scratch take a death on Ogopogo, and he's going right back into it. Meanwhile, Muppets was clearing out Troya in an effort to kind of get himself maybe a little bit more geared up. He looks like he's also heading down and is going to be doing the same thing that Crimson is doing. One thing that I like to do here, and I might be a minority, I like to go ahead in their position when I'm maybe a little bit underleveled, go ahead and cleaning out Eblan Castle, because those 3 trap treasure chests can really give you enough experience boost to really get through here.
Oh yeah, not just the XP boost, but trap chests. You know, we're playing on the T3 flag, which means that the ultra high tier equipment will not be found in ordinary treasure chests. But the trap chest pool can contain, you could find a crystal sword, you could find an adamant armor. So sometimes it's worth the gamble. Does my team need that help? Of course, you may get something that doesn't work for your team at all. We could find a Masamune sword for Edge, and he's nowhere to be found. Oh, and regrettable for Crimson Avix, finding a duplicate Kane, our one duplicate character in the entire seed under these flags. We'll still be stuck at 4 party members. Hopefully another key item in the overworld can give us a 5th character, or else we may be diving Eblan with only 4 party members.
Yeah, at this point in time, you're looking at that and going, nah, I'm exiting out. I'm not even trying to go through here with underleveled, only 4 party members at this point in time. Okay, who came over here to Rivers?
That was Edward, so I misspoke. There was obviously another character spot available here in Baron Castle, but is it really that exciting when it's just Edward?
Is it really? I mean, at best, he's like the teddy bear in Earthbound, just another character that can take one hit and distract it from someone else.
He does have a few really niche strategies you can use, but hopefully we won't have to deal with that. Scratch Dragon, by the way, picking up a life staff from the Ordeal's Crystal Room. No key item there, but it does give the highest white magic boost of any weapon in the game. So, maybe good, maybe bad. Well, and of course, Tella gets his magic unlocked after this fight too. So, it'll be interesting to see if other people end up making the Ordeals play at all.
I mean, it'll be interesting if you get Cecil, and maybe if you had a crystal sword. You know, at this point, I might even be tempted to ditch Cecil. We did see Rivers end up getting the Earth Crystal. Now, that's interesting because it's 2 characters plus a key item spot, plus all those tasty treasures. So
oh yeah, the entire Vault of Troya is ripe for the looting. But he's gonna peek the Odin spot first and see if this is a freebie. That is not a freebie.
Leviathan. Yep, I'm gone.
I mean, Leviathan, like Ogopogo, does start with a big wave, only a quarter of your HP. But the Ice 2 spell that he'll be throwing out at Rivers at that point will do so much damage that I don't think a single one of his characters can withstand that for now.
No, not at all. So this is interesting because we did see Muppets actually go up to Troya earlier to clear out the chest, but because Rivers has the Earth Crystal, this is going to be a much more efficient check to get literally everything that he could possibly get out of here, while simultaneously jumping right up and doing the Tower of Zod. So Rivers sticking with his mantra and doing things more efficiently, avoiding those double dips. That's one of the reasons why Rivers is considered one of the best.
Absolutely. And of course, he works closely with Boardface to actually help make this game that we all love and enjoy so much. The, Board, of course, does a lot of things, keeps stuff secret from Rivers, but as far as a lot of, balancing input, and as far as community management, Rivers has done so much for us. Getting the entire Zenith Zone League set up is pretty much his brainchild, his baby. So props to him, and I hope this seed and everything continues to treat him pretty kindly.
Okay, so we see him, the sound is on Rivers, and we see him ditching that little whoop sound is him ditching quite a bit of items as he's going through here. At this point, he's just trying to find his best items that he can possibly get. And then you see he's just throwing away a lot. These black helmets, these leathers. I mean, it looks like he's keeping the samurai arrows and anything else. Another heroine that he can sell, possibly. But he is pretty well just hoping for the top tier items. He's set for the regular items at this point.
Muppets being cruel to us, tapping that A button so hard and fast that we didn't get to see what was his reward for fighting the trapped Mad Ochre chest in Upper Babel. Maybe he'll scroll down far enough for us to see. Come on, Muppets, go past those Cure 2s. Let's see what you got.
Nope.
Shame. Oh well. If our tracker caught that, by all means, let us know in the chat, but that was so fast, I don't think we even had a full frame before he left that screen.
All right, so it does look like we are on, I think these are going to be Dark Imps at the King and Queen of Evelyn spot, but guess what? They hit like tanks right at the moment.
And of course, even so, there we go. Rosa gets the Hourglass 3 off before they all take dirt naps. Those imps will not do anything else if they don't have it queued up. And of course, they're weak to coffins. So, not a dangerous fight, provided you come in with the appropriate items. If this were a J0 flag, without the hourglasses, without the coffins, this wouldn't be happening at this point.
No, I mean, this is very fortunate for Muppets. He might be the first into the underworld. Now, no experience for that particular fight, so he didn't have to use any life glitches. Plus, you get a full revive right before dolls!
Oh, this is totally going to pay off for Muppets if he has another one of those hourglasses. We were talking earlier about the N1 flag. It's called No Free Lunch. And the N1 flag gets rid of all your free characters and your free key item at Edward. It does not put the boss bit on every monster. And the blue ones in the back, vulnerable to stop. So as long as he can knock out the 3 red ones, Muppets is all set. We'll be entering the underworld very soon.
Yeah, this is an amazing, and that's the gambles that you have to take, because, if it was any other combination of bosses, I would be really worried about Muppet's sanity, because he is incredibly underleveled at this point in time to be able to do these, but he's going to be set. With all these stops between the coffins and these guys, I mean, this is exactly what he wanted to be able to do. He took the gamble. He is going to be the first in the underworld and really kind of takes the lead from Rivers, who's otherwise just kind of running around the overworld.
Well, Rivers is about to get 2 more characters from the Earth Crystal. Could be someone really good. Could be Fusoya. Could be Edge. And if the Crystal's up here, even better. And if the Magma Key is up here, even better. Because he gets to bypass this entire thing that Muppets just did. And one thing to note, that I was so... I won't say excited. I guess maybe a little full of schadenfreude at seeing Kane in the duplicate character location. that I didn't realize that, hey, it was dolls. Muppets, I guarantee you saw, that's dolls. I can hourglass them. We're going right now.
That's fair. You know, that is probably part of the calculation he made at that point in time. Rivers is stuck in the unfortunate Fabul Gauntlet in the Tower of Zot.
One of those fights that you hate to see. You have to fight all 6 rounds of it to get through. It's a pretty easy spot. They all have very low HP, but it's just so time-consuming.
Yeah, and in a speed race, the most important thing is going fast.
Yeah, so the hopefully it won't end up resulting in just, like, a legend sword or something from the actual tower.
All right.
Not trying to do commentator's curse, just saying.
It's already happened. It's gonna happen now. So Muppets clears it. We'll be the first one to the underworld. GG Muppets. That's absolutely huge because I mean a lot opens up for him at this point.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and with those coffins, if he can find sirens, he could do a quick dragon egg grind to pump his levels up really high. He does have the tower key, so Lower Babel will now yield 2 items instead of just 1. And then, of course, there's our freebies. Fey March and the first item you get from doing the Young Sheila loop. So many options for Muppets. Be interesting to see what routing he decides to go with down here.
Yeah, he'll also be able to give us a quick peek into what the bosses are. If he can do that siren grind a little bit, maybe he levels himself up to see if he can go ahead and get a crack at those bosses there in the Leviathan and Asura spots. Those would be, he's already proven to be a little bit crazy at this point in time. Might as well go full crazy here.
Go wild with it. I think the determining factor there will be if they're vulnerable to those stack of hourglasses he has. We've already seen Baron Guards, we've already seen the Dark Imps, and we've already seen the Calbrina. If he sees the other Baron Guards fight, or I think just the Baron Guards fight is the main one left. We also saw Gauntlet. They're vulnerable to the hourglass tricks.
Twins! We have twins in Tower of Zod.
Tying your sister up underneath a huge metal ball, I think he should have to rename them Wednesday and Pugsley at this point. Straight up Addams Family shenanigans going on in the Tower of Zot.
All right, so we see Muppets actually, it looks like he's going to restore his health. We'll see if he goes ahead and cleans out. Dwarf Castle does have quite a few items you can go ahead and clear out, but he is going to exit. I'm hoping he heads over here to the Fey March.
Nope, just going in the front door. I think I've seen this from Muppets a bit. Muppets likes to make the early Dwarf Castle play, and right now, having only 4 party members, I can't argue with it. If his team can deal with these bosses, he will get another, well, first of all, key item upon completion, and a character halfway through.
And sirens.
Sirens for sale. Okay, I don't think he's going to fight these bosses anymore. I take it all back. I was wrong.
Get my Shia LaBeouf on. Just do it, man. Just do it.
Yeah. Let's see if he goes ahead and scrambles some eggs before doing key item checks.
Scramble? Is that your preferred method of egg delivery, scramble?
Oh, not me, but when you're beating it with a spear or with a whip or with arrows, I think that's your only option. None of our characters are equipped with a spatula, sadly.
I mean, we have spoons and we have pans.
But you can't equip either one.
Sadly. You know what? I really think that we need to make the spoon equipable on only Edward.
Just to make him the ultimate in spoony bard?
Absolutely. Like, let's make him useful and viable, but only in those rare 1% of circumstances.
Yeah, and of course, Muppets going straight to the our little peninsula of power, if you want to call it, our beach on the lava, full of these eggs. You probably didn't see these in vanilla. They are a 1 in 64 chance encounter on these 4 tiles, and a couple of other spots in the underground, and they give 34,000 XP apiece. Vulnerable to dragon-type weapons, vulnerable to coffins, vulnerable to stop, vulnerable to stone. However you want your omelets, we got your omelets.
The big thing is they do give tons of experience, and as soon as you have the sirens, because they're so easy to kill, and they just kind of sit there, they're I think they're slightly faster than the D Machine grind, just because of the setup time. I could be wrong, though. Different people have different preferences. It does look like he's just doing kind of a mini grind and getting himself set up for this fight over here just to get his final character. Not wanting to grind too much, but just enough.
And and that's fair. One of the things about these flags is that X2 flag there, which once any of our runners gathers 10 key items, they start receiving double XP from fights. Being able to get 68,000 instead of 34,000 per egg, much more efficient use of your sirens.
Oh, Scratch Dragon is going for it. He's going for Leviathan here.
I mean, the big wave will only do that quarter HP. The question is, how is he going to deal with these Ice 2s that come flying at him? To the tune of 1,400 damage apiece. Oh my goodness.
I mean, that's a nice little dirt nap that Rosa has taken at this point. Yeah, at this point, Cure 2 is not going to help you at any point in time. Oh, Scratch Buddy. This is, I think, one of the most interesting things about Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise, and it's something that I've had to adjust to as well as a speedrunner, is knowing when you need to stop and say, I can't do this, and reset.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's also important to realize if it is something that you do have the means to handle. For instance, Muppets is over here fighting Wyvern in the Dwarf Castle, but Muppets brought Starveils to this fight. Pops Reflect on Yang, Rosa, and Kane, and the Dark Bahamut goes down with one little blast of its fiery breath.
That was impressive. That could be a gatekeeper for a lot of runners if they didn't pick up those Starveils. Mm-hmm. A lot of runners, if you find Starveils, buy them, at least 3. You will thank and rewarded with the Fusoya. There
we go. Don't Tella can continue taking that dirt nap. We have a real sage in the party now. Fusoya, of course. Under these flags, you'll note that we have the F2 flag active. This is called Fusoya Challenge. Instead of just coming out of the box with 1900 HP and every spell in the game, gotta work a little harder. Fu will start with just a few spells, then every boss you kill, you get an extra 100 HP to work with and 3 more spells unlocked. And it creates interesting gambles, too. If you do have Zeromus access early on, but you've not actually fought that many bosses, are you going to bother with Fu thinking, oh, I have to go hunt stuff down to power him up, or you just stick with characters who are fine through normal XP gains? Again, one of those risks and rewards that our runners have to figure out for themselves.
And it's all about that preference. I mean, I think Fusoya at this point in time, when we don't have the crystal yet, is perfectly fine. Now, if we had the crystal and we're just trying to find our access to the moon at this point, I might be a little more nervous about him. But I think we're in a good spot right now. And there's our moon access with the darkness crystal.
Absolutely. And of course, the moon being full of many nasty bosses that another reason to have Fu. It's the utility aspect. The fact that if you go around and fight a few more of the easy, quote-unquote easy boss fights, there's nearly no spot that's completely free, but unlock those spells and all of a sudden you have access to Blink, you have access to Wall, you have access to Nuke and Quake and Life 2, that other characters you have to grind a lot more to gain those abilities.
Absolutely. So Muppets is just kind of running ham here in the underworld. Even Rivers at this point is still making his way through the upper world at this point, just looking around for more key items, really kind of putting his full faith and effort into finding something else so he can avoid that hook at that point. It's not working for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, and we do know as well, because he got the adamant from the Tower Zot, and because our other runners at least one of our other runners has already been to Ordeals, the only overworld spot left to check is Odin, with Leviathan at it. And I don't think you're breaking through there. So, actually losing a bit of time not going hook. Muppets made amazing play doing that. Amazing.
Yeah, and it's really paying off at this point. And that's one of those things, I think, in the K2 flag. There are 2 major gates. It's you start in the upper world, gate to the underworld, and then gate to the moon. And the first one past those gates always feels like they have a bit of an edge. So, yes, you can still do some of the upper world stuff and doing around, especially if you feel underleveled. But that gamble by Muppets has paid off in spades. And I mean, he's been in the underworld for a good 10 minutes at this point in time, while everyone else really is just running over each other's footsteps and not making any progress.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's the advantage also, again, of having a boss at the Rubicante spot that those hourglasses would work on. If he had seen Valvolus there, if he had seen a vanilla... Well, we've already seen Rubicante in the Crystal Chamber, but there are many bosses there that if Muppets had seen that, he would have noped right out. But he paid attention, and it worked for him.
Yep, half of it is paying attention. Okay, so we have... looks like a Mylan spot, and I thought I saw the other boss. I was so focused on Vivales that I thought I saw... No, it's Dark Elf. That's it.
There we go. But yeah, and again, here's a spot where Mylon has the boss flag, but his guests do not. So they're all frozen in time through the use of the gold hourglass. And even though Asura, typically a very difficult spot, Muppet's not going to have much of an issue with this fight.
Now, that half grind that he did has really helped him out. You know, Young has just tons of HP, and Mylan himself, only casting lit ones, doesn't do a ton of health right now. Is weak to fire in this particular form, so he's in a good spot here. With that Dark Elf spot you were mentioning, as soon as he transforms into the dragon form, drops that boss flag again. Definitely, definitely.
One thing to look out for is that the Leviathan spot, compared to the vanilla Dark Elf spot in Final Fantasy IV, has much higher magic attack. So that little immediate chain that he throws out with the Fire 2, Ice 2, Lightning 2 may do a little more damage than this party can handle. But we'll see if he goes for it.
Oh, in particular, since it's the Leviathan spot, and I think Leviathan spot does have pretty high magic attack, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny that both Leviathan and Asura have relatively high stats, but because in the vanilla game their scripts don't really take advantage of them, you don't get to see the pain. Like, Leviathan has really high physical attack, but his script doesn't have a physical attack. So you go there and you're like, oh, hey, it's 3 Dark Imps, I can handle these things. And the Dark Imps all take turns and hit your party like trucks. One of those fun surprises that you'll run into playing this game.
At this point... Okay, and the item that Muppets ends up getting, Masamune.
Yep, still no sign of a ninja anywhere, so he'll just have to pocket that away for now. The Rivers making an interesting play that may pay off.
Oh, wow. D-Mist at the Optimum spot. He hasn't been to the Underworld yet, so this is a really interesting gamble. D-Mist Hunt is kind of the worst-case scenario in these particular flags. The D-Mist... okay, let's back up and explain. Because this gets convoluted quickly. In No Free Lunch, typically, in the vanilla game, one of the key items would be where Edward is. Edward sitting in a bed in Troya, just sitting there. He gives you the Twin Heart. Great. We don't want to, hold your hand for you. So we're saying, nah, you got to earn every item, every character spot in some capacity. So instead of giving it to Bedward, we put it here on Rydia's mother, who is only dead after you beat actual D-Mist.
So we'll see what Rivers actually gets for his looping out of the way, while Muppets is giving Dark Elf a go. Oh, those spells are very weak, actually, in this spot. I think he's not going to have any trouble.
Yeah, and, okay, Rivers is, I don't know, in quotation marks, rewarded with a Legend Sword. No V-flags for this, so that's not necessary. That was a great gamble there by Rivers. Did not quite pay off, though.
Yeah, and, it is nice that Rivers does already have the Adamant, so if he ends up getting Cecil somewhere along the way, he can make an Excalibur, and all of a sudden, very useful party member. But he has to feel pretty bad now that he's full cleared the overworld. He knows he has to go through Eplin. When he goes there, he'll see that the bosses were freebies to boot. The only thing that he can still do in the overworld is the Odin spot. This spot here, I don't know if he's just planning to find Fu somewhere and is going ahead and unlocking spells. But...
And says, yeah, CPU, no thank you. CPU is interesting because its only attack is the Mazer, which is a percentage-based fight. So even though you'd be able to kill him relatively quickly, he's going to get a couple masers to the face, and that's going to do about 20% of your health, doesn't matter what level you're at.
Yep. And Rivers is going in to try to knock out this Odin spot, hoping it pays off so that the time spent in the overworld was not for nothing. So if this is the magma key, then it'll have saved him a little bit of time. If not, then Muppets is definitely in the lead of our 4 featured runners tonight.
And we're at 42 minutes right now. This is the point where if you're not in the underworld, even if it's a hook seed, you start as a runner really questioning things. You're like, what have I done wrong?
And Muppets, by the way, illustrating for us how the Dark Elf's dragon form does not have the boss bit, throwing yet another one of those hourglasses on it. It won't be moving. He has time to get his party members up before finishing off this boss fight for a whole bunch of experience and hopefully a useful key item.
How handy is it that Fu came to him with Nuke unlocked? I mean, that's just amazing.
Just basically a freebie right there. Note that Rivers is making excellent use of those Star Veils, by the way, reflecting, well, at least one of the Ice 2s back at Leviathan. Leviathan uses Ice Magic, but is not absorb it, isn't weak to it, takes standard damage from it. So between that and the Lightning 2s, he may be able to break through this HP barrier. We'll see.
Yeah, but if Attila gets hit by an Ice 2, does anyone really care?
Attila may have some utility here. Every little bit of healing helps, especially since he's already been through ordeals.
Oh, God. Luca key from that spot. So what do you do here? Do you gamble, Luca? Do you go ahead and do the higher percentage plays like the towers? Or do you go right to the moon?
I think, well, for me at least, I have the tower key to Babel. I know that's 2 key item spots. I know my team is strong enough to handle those. I'm going to go there and knock both those out. And then after I come out, I may save and dip Luca just to see if it's useful, reset if it's not. But that Yang item is still staring us in the face. All you have to do is talk to him and talk to Sheila, and you get a freebie. Of course, if you get the Pam first, you can get 3 in a single trip instead of doing 1 now, 2 later. So I like this play. I like going up Babel. The bosses should be manageable. And again, 2 key item hit spots here to check.
I like it. I will be perfectly honest here. You know, I would do this, and then because I'm crazy, I would save outside the sealed cave and go ahead and dip that, because you can get the key item first, and then you can know, you know, is it even worth it? Because it's only, realistically, it's only a minute or 2 to get in there. Like, it's not too much deeper than say your Sheila check.
Oh, definitely. And I would also absolutely check it before going to the moon. Just because I have the key, I don't have to fight the boss, know what the item is. I would peek it for sure. And, you know, if it's the crystal, more power to you.
Well, if it's the crystal, then I just reset go and level grind before I do anything else.
And of course, all our other runners getting a little lucky. Other than Rivers, everyone else has gotten a little lucky that Mist Dragon only had the Legend Sword. Like you said, under these flags, not a necessary item. It can be helpful if you get an Excalibur, if there's something good for sale in the Kakol blacksmith shop, but completely not required. No one else is going to be scouring the world for Mist Dragon at this point, I bet.
No, I mean, that was a real lucky check. Oh, wow! Rivers with the crystal!
Oh my god!
So
the Odin spot is required. Full clearing the overworld has paid off. Maybe not in the way he wanted it to.
So it's interesting. Rivers has the crystal, but no way to get up to the moon. Muppets has the dark crystal to get up to the moon. He's got to get back to Baron Castle. And with everything that we were just talking about, it might be a little bit of time, because let's face it, in Muppets' shoes, you're checking Tower, you might check the Sheila, you might check Luca, but then you're going to the moon because of all of those spot locations that you can get.
Absolutely, absolutely. If I don't know all of Muppet's strategies, of course. If Muppets is the kind of player who prefers to do every last thing on Earth before going to the moon, then he'll be fine. But Muppets didn't go up Zot. Muppets didn't do Zot. Muppets I'm not sure if Muppets did ordeals, but all these places that our other 3 featured runners have chased and full cleared, Muppets was like, no, I'm getting underground. And although it gave him an early advantage, this may be the turnaround that Rivers needs.
I mean, it's going to be close. I mean, it really just depends on, because Rivers Scratch and Rivers are both kind of in about the same spot heading into the underworld. Crimson is still cleaning up the overworld at this point in time, but no one else. I mean, Rivers was able to do Odin and got lucky with that crystal. Scratch was knocking on that door and just couldn't quite get there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the other thing too is that, like, so with Muppets, we mentioned an earlier good idea for routing. 2 items here in the Tower of Babel. You have the Luca key that you got by fighting a very difficult boss spot. Why don't we check that as well? And then you get a freebie from Sheila if you talk to Yang. That puts the Odin spot way far back on the list. Did Muppets even do Baron Castle now that I think about it?
No, he didn't. I mean, he got Tella in Baron Town and
with the hook and went straight for it. Yeah, you're right.
So it might be interesting because he's gained the levels. He could say, there are 2 things in Baron. I can kill the king and I can go ahead and do Odin, and he's at the level to be able to do so.
Oh yeah, he definitely has the level advantage over both Rivers doing it and when Scratch Dragon tried it. So it may be that by taking this route, when he comes back to clear these earlier spots, he's super speedy at it and still, maintains the current perceived lead. But Rivers is going to be bearing down on him fast, and if Rivers gets that Darkness Crystal early, oh buddy, Rivers is going straight to grind into Zeromus. No hesitation.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I hate to say that it's kind of a 2-man race between Muppets and Rivers, and both are very solid runners. That's not taking anything away from Scratch and Crimson. Both are just kind of in a different spot in the race than Muppets and Rivers. And really
well, absolutely. And again, this is mostly because that Leviathan spot paid off in spades. Like, Scratch and Crimson are playing great. It's just that Rivers took that gamble. He fought his way through using Cure 2 potions and Star Veils, and he was richly rewarded in a way no one else has been.
All right, so we do see Muppets now having to walk the long way out of the Tower of Babel, which you have to do. You can't exit out, unfortunately, in this one.
And the warp spell doesn't work either.
That's so depressing, I tell you.
I'm not sure, Burn the Witch. I've not been paying full attention to his inventory, but it wouldn't surprise me if he has a few stashed away.
Oh, Twin Harp.
More Vex quests. That Rat Tail and that Twin Harp are bad things for Muppets to see, just because even though, again, Baron Castle is kind of a twofer, having this many options on your plate just increases the odds that you pick the wrong one.
A little bit, yeah. At the same time, it does increase the efficiency. Hey, let's go ahead and get our twofer locations like Baron Castle done. So he's going to do the Luca key check, and we know he's not going to find anything of worthwhile. The only thing, maybe if you find the pan, you go ahead and complete it.
The pan would be better for him to find here. Well, no, because then he'd still have to fight the boss on the way out. I was thinking that if pan is... The worst place for the pan would probably be vanilla spot. Talk to Yang, talk to Sheila, get the pan, because that means that he will immediately turn back around and come back down to Sylph Cave instead of going where we know he needs to go.
Yeah, I was thinking, this would still be a pretty bad spot for it. But if you're rooting for Muppets right now, what you want to do, you really want him to find the spoon, or you don't want him to find the pass. You want him to find something worthless so he can reset.
I mean, even pass wouldn't be too bad, because at this point we can probably guess that Rivers isn't going to come down here. He'll probably get his Darkness Crystal and just go to the moon instead of pass hunting. So the pass could save Muppets that walk, as long as he, of course, visits Odin before visiting the moon.
And we're about to get our answer here directly. Just running through this dungeon, and we have Protect Ring.
We have a
reset.
Protect Ring, of course, excellent piece of gear. Highest magic defense and magic evade you're going to get, tied with the Crystal Ring for your arm slot. But it's not a key item. We don't care if it's not a key item. We're not fighting a boss and walking out of that cave for even the best ring in the game. Even if it were an adamant armor, the literal best piece of armor in the game, I bet Muppets would have still reset there.
Yeah, no way. At this point in time, you're just trying to get, you have your characters. I think he's comfortable with this party right now. He's not going to be hunting any more party members unless he gets like an edge up on the moon.
Yeah, because he does have that Masamune that he won from Asura, and so plop that on your ninja and you're in really good shape.
But even then, a dead Tella is a really nice agi anchor.
Also true, absolutely.
All right, so he did go ahead and he checked Young in the Sylph Cave. So it looks like he's probably going to go over here to Sheila to get that particular item. I hope. Yeah, I hope he goes to Baron.
I bet he's going to route in both. Yeah, he's picking up the hovercraft. He's going to do Rat Tail and Sheila since they're kind of close together on the world map.
That's reasonable. I mean, you can't fault a guy for that. Meanwhile,
it's great routing. It's just not paying off this time.
Meanwhile, we see Scratch and Rivers both on that particular fight. He's using the twins. He's just trying to... Scratch is just burning these guys down, hoping to do it before Calbrenna comes out. I don't think I've seen a stop yet.
Rivers, on the other hand, is using a little bit of a swag strat. He apparently found a Soma drop somewhere and gave it to Tella. So we are actually going to get our Meteo usage out of the old man this run.
If you got it, flood it?
Absolutely. If he ever casts the darn thing, having, of course, the longest delay of any spell in the game on an already slow character. Here we go. Kapow.
Sheila gave us the magma key.
Oh, Muppets. That can't feel good to know that you've done all this work, all this walking. It is a key item for grind purposes. Gets him one closer to 10. In fact, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So Muppets is at 8 right now, it looks like. So, getting closer. Is he going to Baron?
Going to Baron? This would be huge. He's doing Baron.
As long as he doesn't nope out and skip the Odin fight. I can't count the number of times I've done Baron, got excited about my key item reward from Baron, and completely blanked that there's the Odin spot to check too. I'm just like, if I get the Darkness Crystal from Baron, I'm in trouble. I'm completely forgetting Odin spot every time because I'm like, ooh, moon, let's go to the moon.
So here's the thing. So optimal routing at this point, so you're not backing out of the castle, would be doing the Odin spot and then doing the King spot for your 10th item. However, your 9th item is going to be your crystal. Do you go ahead and kill the boss for the 10th item?
Yeah, probably. Backtracking out of here would be a real pain. But even then, there's so many nasty things that can be at Odin spot that it wouldn't surprise me if Muppets just did the King, then came back inside.
He is skipping every treasure chest, even the easy-to-get one. So I think he's even comfortable with his equipment at this point in time. He's just going.
Meanwhile, Crimson Avix apparently not having hourglasses or other, juicy J items to throw at these dark imps, taking a wipe to them. Hopefully he manages to... let's take a peek at the inventory. There is an Hourglass 1 I see, and an Hourglass 3. So he has the tools he needs. He just has to realize to use them.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be noping out. He did find those sirens, so I think he's going to go over and do a little bit of a level grind here.
Ooh, Rivers may be eating up a little time on his clock as well. He's about to see these two summon bosses, which he may think that he can take a swing at as well.
They're not difficult summon bosses for the spots that they're in. So he's noping out, so he's not going back to him, I don't think, as of yet, unless he's saving and then going in.
Yeah, because he could have just cast Exit and left the Fey March entirely. But he's going to the cabins. He's going to take a swing at these bosses, which, if I remember correctly, Asura has the Masamune, and Leviathan, pardon me, not Leviathan, but the Leviathan spot, has the Luca key, both of which are not gonna play out. Oh, he exits instead, teasing us. I could have sworn he was going to make the move. Ooh.
Why you tease us, Rivers?
Rivers is like, no.
I'm good. It's all right. All right, so Rivers is going to be checking out the Tomra items. I think he's going to be set up very nicely. Scratch also down here. We still have Crimson on the Dark Elves, and he's getting smacked around pretty hard right now.
Yeah, taking advantage of the illusion items, it looks like, to try to nullify their physical attacks. Not a bad idea, but come on! You have the Hourglass! Just use it! Just use it!
Crimson, if you're going back and watching this restream, I mean, this has been kind of a really interesting stream to watch in terms of a tutorial on the helpfulness of J items on some boss fights, because we've seen coffins and hourglasses and Boreases used and all different sorts of things that is why most people end up playing with at least one J flag.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, our tracker, Alexa LeFay, pointing out to us that he did use one. Those attacks that knocked those characters out must have already been queued up. My apologies, but go Crimson. Way to notice them. Use them on the dolls too, please. Let's go.
All right, so Muppets is getting his 9th key item here. He didn't do Odin first. He comes down here to do this one, and I don't remember what it was. Oh, Earth Crystal. Oh, God, no.
Don't follow it.
Stay here.
Don't follow it.
No!
No! Muppets, no! Oh, well, you know, on the bright side, is he going to give us the music? Oh, yeah, he's going north.
Yeah, he's giving us the Twin Harp Earth Crystal combo.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to see. I believe we have sound turned on Muppet stream, so that's good for us. It's bad for Muppets, but it's good for us, because one of my favorite features of the Free Enterprise Randomizer is that Edward's Twin Harp song isn't the one you may remember from the original game. If you're a randomizer, you got to randomize everything you can, right? Right.
I mean, I don't see why not. And we have a wonderful community development team, not only doing things like randomizing what this song is going to be over here, but also our wonderful Z flag, which we will get to here in a little bit.
And the worst part for Muppets is knowing that this little sequence, Twin Harp, chains perfectly into Earth Crystal. Which, oh, by the way, he does have the Earth Crystal, if we can get that updated in a moment. So could go straight from Cave Magnus, up the Tower of Zod, back to Baron, and then hopefully he'll go in and fight the Odin spot, but we'll see.
We'll get there. We will get there. But more importantly, yeah.
Oh, you go right ahead.
So most importantly, we're getting ready to get our music on.
Indeed. But at the same time, Rivers is about to get something a little better than music, I'm sure, by his measurements.
I mean, technically, yes.
Now, one thing to note is that this will end up putting Muppets... Well, Muppets is already at 10 key items, which Rivers is not. So Rivers will have a slightly slower grind, and Muppets has the boss advantage on his Fusoya. So his Fusoya will have more MP and more spells. Wait, no, I'm incorrect. Rivers cleared the overworld. His Fu is probably at max power already. So it's just how fast is Muppet's going to get back to that Odin spot? Because, hey, it's Spinach Rag from Final Fantasy VI.
Oh, I'm loving this one. Yeah.
Known as the auction house music. The little Kappa plays it when it teaches you how to use Gal's moves. Good song.
It just feels like it's made for that sort of harp sound right there.
Oh yeah, Rivers Fu at full power. I see the 1900 HP. So he's just ready to go get his grind on and go for it, I think.
Yeah, he's setting up. Looks like he's going to make Kane his agility anchor. He's going to set him up. That's the nice thing about that Drain Spear. I think it's a 10 agility hit. He also has a Dwarf Axe, which would give him a 5 agility hit if he wants only that.
Although, I doubt he's going to leave Kane there for the Zeromus fight. What he's doing right now, I'll go ahead and let you know, is that when you get a strike first, like he just did, your party starts with everyone max ATB already full. And your middle spot goes first, then the top, then the bottom, then the second from the top, and then the fourth from the top. And so he wants Kane to be going first on those, probably so Kane can one-shot these eggs once he gets a certain level of power. If I had to guess. We will probably see a rearranging of the party when he actually heads to the Z fight. And he's knocked Palom out. Palom apparently going to be the agility anchor for that fight. So yeah, we'll see him move Palom to the middle when he heads to the moon.
Muppets does find the pan. So another thing to pull him away from Odin, which is not good.
All the rabbit holes, all the fetch quests. If this our tracker, Alexa, pointing out in chat that if this pulls him away from doing the Tower of Zot, it may pan out for him. I'm sorry.
Well, he's gone away from Zot at any rate.
That's true. That's true. Because Pam, 2 free key items, 1 from the Sylphs themselves, 1 from Sheila again. Although after Sheila gave him the Magma Key, do you really want to trust her this seed, Muppets? Do you?
It'll give you the pink.
Rivers doing the egg grind at this point, not going to seek out any more key items. Of course, he's at 8. You may think, well, I can check 1 or 2 more spots, maybe get my double XP. But this is K2. You're not guaranteed a key item at every key item spot, and it could very easily just consume far more time than you would make up for with a double XP grind. So, very smart strategical move on Rivers' part. We'll see what his levels look like after this grind. I'm unfamiliar with exactly the level of gear each of his characters is rocking. Oh, a white spear. Okay, yeah, Kane's ready to dish out some damage. The key factors here are going to probably be Fu's HP and gear and Rose's HP and gear. Yang will end up with so many HP, so much HP, that the big bangs won't matter, but you need to keep your white mages alive.
Oh my god, he hovered over the spot! He was overbearing and considering it and says, no, I'm going to go visit Sheila again.
But that means he probably realized that. He's like, oh yeah, I meant to check Odin's spot and I didn't. So he'll get the freebie, and then, keeping my fingers crossed, he goes back to Baron.
Nothing is more frustrating than watching someone and you know where they have to go.
Light sword for all his fetch questing.
Wah, 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 wah.
Crimson still working on these Calbrinas.
I think he used his 1 hourglass on the Dark Imp, so...
I know he had 2. He had at least 1 hourglass 1 and 1 hourglass 3. So don't save it. Now's the time. Take advantage of your tools. Alexa, Luca Key was at the Leviathan's spot. Dark Elf at Leviathan had Luca Key, and the Mylon plus Gast fight at Asura had the Masamune.
And he's going to Tower of Zod. I mean, yeah.
Well, you know, he's still making good time overall. He was the first one to the underworld of our restreamers, first one to get Foo, or restreamees, pardon me, first one to get Foo. So he's still making really good time, but he's just making it in the wrong places. Like his efficiency, his key item per minute, if that's a metric we're going to even make up on the spot, is really good. But we know where the crystal is.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I mean, his level grind is going to be very, very fast, but Rivers doesn't need that much more before he's on his way.
Yeah, and another thing too, Rivers is sitting there with a gold apple in his inventory as well, another J item that'll give one of his characters a plus 100 max HP. So, won't surprise me one bit if he puts that on Rosa, like right as soon as she learns Cure 4, or, I don't know, maybe hits the 2,000 mark and rolls with it.
Really, at this point in time, I think you just hit the 2,000 mark and roll with it. You know, with these characters, you burst Gang and Kane, you heal with Rosa, you might throw out a couple nukes with Fu, maybe, but then you just kind of let it ride.
Yeah. Like, of course, Young's attack power being based mostly on his level, not actually on his equipment, means that Rivers may grind out a few more levels just to make sure that Young is pulling his weight at that final fight. Kane, of course, with a black belt gi and a white spear, probably going to be fine.
I mean, he'll be all right.
Yeah. It's just the question is, how far will he go here? Checking his levels, popping another one. Right here in the mid-40s is where you really start to feel how you don't have the 10 key item double XP multiplier, because you'll start just seeing 1 or, like 3/4 of a level per egg, and you're like, I want to go to Zeromus so bad.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. That is real. You get to that and you get impatient. And I think that's the hardest thing for a runner to do, is just sit there and go, nope, I'm not going. I have a trigger. Like, I wait until my Rosa or my Palem is over 2,000 health. Boom. That's my go mode.
That's your metric. Hey, it's a good metric. That'll keep you safe from pretty much any nerfed Big Bang. But of course, if one of those unnerfed ones slips through, you could still be in a world of pain.
It's cost me sometimes, but it's the risk and reward you go for. You don't want to spend too much time grinding.
And like you said earlier, this is a big community race. When you're in a race with with a group this large, you can be like, I can take top 3. There's so many people. Someone's going to make the right plays just by sheer numbers, and I'm going to do the best I can. But with our Zenith Zone League races coming up, it's just 4 of you, and you want that first place to accrue your league points. So, are you more likely to make the gamble, or are you more likely to play a little safer? Should be interesting to see.
I think the early matches in the league play are interesting, but I think those later matches, when you're going to see some people on the bubble there, it's like, okay, I can sit back and play it a little bit safer because I've already gotten, top 2 in 2 of the other races. So if I get a 3rd or 4th place, I'll be fine. But like myself, I fully expect to be get a 4th place in at least one of my early races. So I'm like, okay, and then I have to start making some gambles here.
Oh, and Rivers feels he is ready to go. He is going to be heading back to pick up his lunar well. We don't have the pass yet, and flying up to the moon, which sadly none of our featured runners explored in the hopes of finding the crystal today. I mean, maybe someone else will go right past Odin's spot and go for it, but we'll finally get to take a look at the moon for a little bit. While Rivers is doing this, just want to remind you, of course, if you like what you're seeing, if you like Final Fantasy IV, if you like free enterprise, we have the website, ff4-free-enterprise.com. We have a great community Discord, tons of guides, tons of help if you're newbies. Don't be afraid of the game. Hop right in. And beyond that, we, of course, have the Welcome to the Zenith Zone League going on right now. We've narrowed down our 32 players from qualifiers, and they're going to be doing basically round-robin matches, groups of 4 over the next month, which will then narrow down to a group of 16 for the playoffs in September.
Speaking of, because I'm going to be selfish a little bit here, Invid, we have kind of an interesting race tomorrow, don't we?
Oh yeah, I think there's someone else on the screen right now who's involved. That Muppets in Space character, in fact.
Yeah. So tomorrow, when's our race? Is it at 6? Yeah.
Yeah. We're at 6 Eastern on RPG Limit Break. Vitasia, myself, Muppets in Space, and our fourth competitor, Obda Jr., will be having it's my first race of the Zima Zone League. Have you had one yet? I don't think you have you?
No, it'll be my first race too. So we'll be there. Ooh, I do see Crimson just busted through, so he's finally getting to the underworld there.
And Muppet's finally going the right way as well. Muppet's heading to Leviathan, so he'll be hot on River's heels. But Rivers does have pretty decent advantage at this point.
Oh, finally, Muppets. Finally. You were here earlier, man. You could have.
He is going to... If there were rage slashes in Final Fantasy IV, we would be seeing them as soon as he gets this crystal.
We absolutely would, yes. All right, our Moon Man. This is our first look at our Moon Man here, and it is a Sid.
Not a bad character, but too little too late.
I mean, I don't even know what Sid's starting agility is. Like, you can just pick him up and go as your anchor. Oh, and he is!
Oh, wow. Ditching the kid and putting a... You know, I can see this. Sid does have I look like about 100, 200 more HP on the kid.
A level 20 Sid had more HP. Well, I guess he nerfed him pretty hard early.
And also, if River still has that Dwarf Axe in his inventory, if Sid's agility was too high, he could just slap that on him and have him even slower. And as Rivers makes his way down, reminder, follow all 4 of our runners tonight. They're out here putting themselves, you know, on stage for your entertainment. Give props, of course, to our tracker, Alexa LaFay. She streams this a lot in other games. Give her a follow. And, yeah, Vitasia and I, we're doing a good job. We deserve your follows as well. Give them to us. Right, Vitasia?
I mean, I always like followers, and I tell my followers, you know, I'll bake them cookies sometime, but they have to come to me to get them, so.
Hey, don't tempt me with cookies. I will hunt you down, and I will make you bake.
Oh, my goodness. So, yeah, we have Rivers. It's about a 2.5 to 3 minute walk. So the pass would have been nice, but ultimately, you know, 3 minutes, not too bad. And Muppets, yes, I can see Foo raid slashing right now.
Let's see how quickly he starts hammering. Oh, okay. I figured he would start I always hammer my R button in frustration, just cycling through all my characters as quickly as possible. But yeah, Muppets has entered Go mode. He has everything he needs. May want to go grind a couple more levels. It'll be faster than Rivers was, thanks to his key item advantage. But, you know, you have to feel bad that I was here, I stopped back over it again, I stopped back over it again. I should have checked the Odin spot.
Yeah, I don't know how Muppets is feeling right now. I mean, still at 115 in a K2, you're not feeling too terrible about yourself. You probably are even feeling pretty good about your early hook play that he made, and he should feel pretty good about that because it was a really solid early hook. It's just, had he made the plays a little bit earlier, he'd be in a better spot. Rivers is a little bit ahead of him in the straight line lead. Should note, no other runner has finished yet.
Absolutely. That Odin spot, well, first of all, if any of our racers were unfamiliar with which bosses are vulnerable to hourglasses, boom, difficult time getting through Upper Babel. Also, Odin spot, very difficult. If you tried it early and ran into those 1500 HP damage Ice 2s, you're like, oh, I'll come back here later. So, lots of things, lots of little road bumps to delay racers here. So, we'll see if Rivers gets through the Z fight nice and clean, or if someone on Speedruns Live snipes him. Should be interesting.
Should be very fun. We'll be keeping an eye on that. We will see, okay, so we have that Z flag at the end. We have a community that does a great job in terms of suggesting new final forms for Zeromus. So, what will Zeromus's final form actually be?
Whose butt do we kick tonight?
We just added a ton new ones as well, so I'm kind of excited to see what we get.
Yeah, huge shout out to Scala Kitty. She, with the most recent iteration of Free Enterprise, 0.2.11, it included, I believe, well over 150 new sprites. I don't have the exact number, but I think it's at least that much, and oh my goodness. That is the Adamantoise, the huge mega boss from Final Fantasy 15.
So, Adamamus, okay.
Yeah. The Adamantoise, of course, being a recurring monster in many Final Fantasy games, but I don't think any have quite met the size and scale of the one in 15. This one, of course, apparently has been shrunk down to fit your screen. It would have been real funny if she'd just been able to fit, like, the eyeball and one of the horns on the screen. It's actual size.
Oh my goodness. That would be it. Just, and you're supposed to get it.
Yeah.
So it looks like Rivers is going to be having Sid on Cure 3 duty, while everyone else is going to be effectively just set up on just auto attacks with their Bacchuses or healing. Ooh. Or Fusoya is going to be nuking.
This should be interesting. Of course, with the Zeromus fight, because they could not code in more than 65,535 HP in a spot, they trick you into giving him, I think, about 110,000 XP. And what happens is that if you hit Zeromus with an attack, or Adamamus with an attack at a certain point, he does an HP refill, changes phases, changes attacks. However, reflected damage does not trigger this. So if Rivers times this right, he can actually get away with only having to do 61,000 HP of damage. It's tricky to do. It's really hard to do if you have Berserk fighters, but he could pull it off. Should be let's see if he we'll know basically if we end up by seeing a Meteo phase or not.
All right. Looks like, I don't know if he's going to quite get there. Meanwhile, Crimson is on his grind now, or at least doing some grinding.
Probably doing an intermediate grind before tackling these underworld bosses. No harm in doing that. Muppets appears to have said, I gained enough XP from fighting all these bosses I didn't have to fight. Let's not grind. Let's go for it right now. I feel good about my team. Let's go fight Zeromus.
Oh, and he's going whole hog. Rosa's casting whites. He's got nukes going on Fu. He's going to the edge.
Going for maximum DPS. Of course, one funny thing that we see here occasionally is if Adamamus responds with a black hole, all of a sudden you're casting one of your powerful black or white magic spells on your own character. Of course, Rivers currently holding second place on pretty much the two main vanilla speedrun categories of this game. His timing is fantastic. I would be very surprised if he accidentally knocked out one of his own team members that way.
Oh, and that was an unnerfed Big Bang. So we have Mop Fu, and no, that is not a self-defense technique. That is just Mr. Mophead, and we are in Meteo phase, so he didn't quite get that, but he's in a good position either way.
Oh yeah, he's dished out tons of damage very quickly. Should be in good shape to wrap up this fight. That Cure 4 should protect him from an unexpected Meteo strike.
Looks like Muppets took a risk and started opening some treasure chests, and going to be gaining a few more levels there.
Oh, and there we go. Rivers McCown has finished in first place with an SRL time of 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 4 seconds. They took first place, pulled it off. And what Muppets is doing, there's another great grind spot on the moon with Sirens, where you can fight these two dragons, and they're vulnerable to stop them, well on them, life glitch one of them, even more XP. than the yellow dragon eggs. So that's probably what he's doing to get a few more levels before going into this fight.
All right, so he's doing that. Meanwhile, Crimson is still doing his intermediate grind. Scratch is on his way back to in the sealed cave. He's going to do the same thing that we saw Rivers or Muppets do earlier. Check the item and then probably no bell.
Yeah, Fluffy Mittens in the chat saying, "Ew, door grind." Don't think he's doing the door grind. Think he's just checking the loot. Surprised he's opening the chest on the way, though, if he intends to just save and reset out. Most of our characters overlapping places they've been earlier. Muppet's still doing a little bit of a grind. We'll see how many of these dragons he elects to kill before going ahead and pushing forward to Zeromus himself.
And we are joined by the legend himself, Rivers McCown. GG, sir.
Hey, thanks, guys.
So how... you went through the entirety of the upper world first. How fortunate were you feeling there when you went to Odin and you're like, oh, here's the crystal?
Well, I checked that spot earlier in the run. I saw that it was Leviathan. I kind of figured that was a little bit doable. I wasn't sure how long I wanted to stay and play on the overworld. But as I was checking the stores, I kind of realized that I would prefer to have Tella if there's no sirens. I didn't know there would be sirens. There was no guarantee. So I decided to just finish upper world. And yeah, once I got the crystal there, I was like, hey, isn't that handy?
Very handy. Yeah, some of our other featured runners went there and had a little harsher time with those 1500 damage Ice 2s. One thing, though, we did see you doing pretty much the entire overworld, even finding Mist Dragon. Muppets, on the other hand, as soon as he got that hook with Tella in the Barren Inn, he went straight to Evelyn and straight underground. I'm guessing when he saw the dolls, he knew, oh, Hourglass, I got this. And he cleared out a whole bunch of the underworld, and it just ended up not paying off for him. But he was there very soon, and then back in the overworld, ran all around the Odin spot before finally settling on it. And hopefully he's not feeling too frustrated about that at this time. But
so is he almost done then?
Yeah, he's doing a little bit of a King Ryu grind on the moon before heading the rest of the way to Zeromus.
Cool.
And yeah, other runners seem to have a little bit of trouble at both the Imps and the Doll spot, but just the way that you use those Star Veils to basically have Leviathan beat himself to a pulp, brilliant play, paid off in spades for you.
I was really concerned about that fight, actually, because I had I only had 1 hourglass, and I knew that I had both the dolls and the imps in the at the end of Tower of Babel there, and I was like, oh boy, which one do I save this for?
I for one really enjoyed your Meteo swag with Tella. Hashtag
Yeah.
Tella Life.
Let's call it swag.
And we've been talking a little bit about Zima's Zone and the league. Do you have your first match scheduled yet? When can we tune in and see that?
I believe my first match will be on the 12th. The people who I started scheduling with actually had a lot of early conflicts, so I'm more on the late end of the schedule. But don't worry, you'll still get 4 matches with me at least.
Awesome. So that's next Sunday, we think?
Yeah.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Any other thoughts on the seed, by the way, Rivers?
I mean, it's pretty plug and play after you got past upper tower. I mean, as long as you knew how to take care of Leviathan in that one spot, you were pretty good.
Well, and we did see, it looked like some of our runners didn't quite know how to get past the Dark Imps and the dolls there in the hook spot. Knowing what J items end up working really kind of separated, created a lot of separation here between yourself and Muppets and some of the other runners.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. I know that the J items are not a natural thing. They weren't natural for me either when I started playing this one. Oh, look, Sheila had the magma key. What a gal.
Yeah, Muppets found that. He visited her a few times.
We gotta ask, what was it that you were like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna pop in here real quick and see what the Optimum boss is. Oh hey, D-Mist. Like what was up with it? Was that your thinking in that play? You were just hunting for D-Mist, or what was up with that?
Yeah, that's part of it. Also, I was thinking maybe I would get Fu at the character spot. So I was like, well, if I get that, I should be prepared. I should maybe, take out these extra bosses if they're quick. And I ran to the Mist Dragons like, oh, fancy meeting you here, ma'am.
Bonus round. Yeah, and then we saw that you saw a CPU, and you're like, okay, no, I'll fight enough bosses elsewhere. I'm good. We're good, thank you. We have enough.
I mean, it would have been pretty easy, but I think at that point I had already counted that I had enough bosses anyway. So.
Yeah, I think you were, with how much of the overworld you did, I think you were past the 14 boss mark by then.
Yep.
And Muppets has finished his grind on his way down to the Zeromus fight. We still don't have a second place finisher in this race. So Muppets may be taking a second after all. Always good to see first and second on our featured restreamers, of course. So let's see how he handles the Zeromus fight.
Who does he have?
He has Yang, Fu, Sid, Rosa, and Kane.
All right, so he's got my party too. Okay.
Pretty much, although he has actually grinded his Sid up quite a bit using those Gold Dragon fights or King Ryus.
But
Scratch
why?
Dragon.
Don't you know that Sid really enjoys like laying down and asking you to paint him like a beautiful French girl?
I mean, when I'm his age, I already like lying down and being painted like a French girl. I imagine the older you get, the more it comes naturally to you. Yeah.
I've learned way too much about both of you today.
Scratch Dragon, by the way, finally going to the Leviathan fight again. Gonna hopefully make it through this time, get that crystal, and then be off to the races just like the rest of you.
Cool. Well, I don't want to hang up here on the stream forever, guys, but thanks for doing the commentary. I'm sure the show has been great, and looking forward to Muppets and Scratch giving us a good finish here.
Absolutely. Thanks for chatting with us. Always a pleasure, Rivers. And thank you again for everything you do for the community.
All right.
As
Thanks,
always.
Guys.
All right, that was Rivers McCown. Go ahead and follow him on Twitch if you haven't already. I mean, he's one of the best people to follow to learn about how to run this game optimally. Muppets is also pretty good as well, and he's on his Adamamus fight. Scratch just finished his fight. He's going to be rewarded with his crystal. He has his dark. He just has to do his grind now.
Yep. And Muppet's getting a little lucky there. Rosa ate the counter nuke from when he nerfed the Big Bang. And then the Big Bang itself still did over 1,000 damage nerfed. Rosa managed to escape with just over, I believe, that was 300 HP. But Sid's there flinging those Cure 3s. She's back up to full health, and he's rolling with pretty much the same strat Rivers used, it looks like. Little Berserk, little reflected spells, good times.
Nice mix of everything at that point in time, which is, good strategy with this particular boss fight. Looks like Muppets never picked up the white land, so he's running, I think, with the Gundyr on King, which, is pretty good.
Oh yeah, it's not a bad weapon. He's still hitting for over 2k a pop, And with the power level of this team, especially having the HP numbers on Kane, Rosa, Sid, and Yang, I can't see him taking a wipe here unless there is some really nasty Zeromus timing. Which sometimes it happens. Sometimes you get hit with nuke, Big Bang, phase shift, unnerf Big Bang. Bad things can happen in this fight, but it looks like Muppets has this under control.
Absolutely. Scratch, meanwhile, is doing his scrambled egg grind.
And I will say, just a little in retrospect, I really liked Muppet's strategy here with going to the moon knowing I will be getting a character who may need some levels. I still have sirens. Those gold dragons are vulnerable to hourglasses. You can life glitch them, and you can get far more XP per fight than you can with eggs. Eggs may be faster, but you're already on your way to Zeromus. So I really like his technique of using the sirens to fight the gold dragons on this seed.
Oh, absolutely. It was a great ability. heads up play to be able to go ahead and do that. I don't know if it's necessarily something I would have done because I'm trying to beeline to get there as fast as I could, but he's not lost any spots at this point in time in this race for doing it.
Absolutely. We're still waiting on a second place finisher. Oh, and we got it.
Sniped!
Ask and you shall receive.
Zyrak in second place at 132.13.
Zyrak, another up-and-coming name in our community, made it into the round of 32 with the Zenith Zone. Has some matches coming up pretty soon as well. Another great runner to be on the lookout for. That's one great thing about the league that we have set up. All of a sudden, we got new blood infused into the community who are just taking it by storm. Should be interesting to see how the full league shakes out and who surprises everyone.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing. Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise, I've only really been a part of the community for about, 4 months now? If that, it is growing so fast. I love Final Fantasy IV growing up, and if you love Final Fantasy IV growing up, you should give this a shot. You play it casually to start off with. Just see what you can do with it. And then once you're comfortable with the mechanics and you go, load up a speed run, get into a seed. There's always runs going on, tons of people practicing. Hop in Discord. We're here to help you.
Absolutely. And of course, we talked about various parts of the flag set tonight. This is probably a little more difficult of a flag set than some. They're very beginner-oriented flag sets you can play to just let you figure out the logic of it, which paths are open to you based on which key items. And then you can go all the way and go to what we call kata seeds, where you just set every flag to the hardest thing possible and hope that you have a chance.
Yeah, kata seeds are not for the faint of heart. Don't. Just do yourself a favor. Don't start there.
Yeah, don't start there. You'll have a bad time. They're fun. They're more of a puzzle game than a speedrunning RPG. Let's put it that way.
That's fair. Yeah. Muppets has got to be getting close here, it feels like. We do see Scratch on his way up to the moon. I think he's done with his grind. He had a very fast grind at that point in time. He was just going to town, and with the 10 key items, it was very, very fast. Really, it didn't feel like a K2 seed at all. We got almost nothing but key items in the key item spots.
Oh, absolutely. And there were so many spots that we didn't have to check. Neither of the summon bosses that Muppets fought gave him anything worthwhile. The Sylph Cave spot didn't. The main K2 boss that gave us what we needed was Odin. Which, of course, Crystal, gotta have it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we see Crimson up here turning in his rat tail. And there's the flash. Muppets in Space. It does finish in third place. Looks like an official time of 1:34.34. So just about 2 minutes behind Zyrak. GG to Muppets.
GG indeed. And we'll try to get Muppets in here in just a second. Looking forward to picking his mind on, what motivated that early upper Babel dive. Like I said, I think it's that he saw the dolls, knew he could cheese them, but I'm wondering if he was just feeling particularly bold and didn't even realize that till he got there.
I mean, bold is the name of the game sometimes. You gotta make a gutsy call every now and then.
Absolutely.
So Scratch Dragon is now climbing through the lunar subterrane. Meanwhile, we see Crimson Avix still trying to figure out what to do here.
Hey!
Hey! There's the man! Muppets in Space. How you feeling, buddy?
Feeling pretty good. It's, that was a pretty straightforward seed that I kind of overthought, I think.
Well, you were the first of our 4 featured runners to make it underground by a country mile. Just blazed it underground. When we saw you head into the tower, thought, oh, is he just checking the chest, or is he? He is. Only 4 characters because that duplicate came, and you were diving right into that Rubicante boss spot. What motivated that decision on your part?
Well, I wanted to see who the character was in the underground first off, and when I saw Calbrena as the boss in the Rubicante spot, I was like, oh, I can take care of this. I have hourglasses to take care of the back row, and the front row notoriously has low hit points, so I wasn't too worried about that. The only thing I was really worried about was the fight that came before it, because I didn't know what was coming up. And it turned out to be pretty easy to manage as well.
Yeah, another spot, we saw you use the hourglasses on it as well. Very fortunate to have both of those. Saw you actually, by the way, great job duking it out with both the Asura and Leviathan spots. Two of the nastier spots. Wish it paid off a little more for you. We saw you zooming around, like hovering over Baron a few times after you made it back to the overworld. What was your thing on your overworld logic after clearing out the underground?
Well, the problem that I was having was a little bit of indecision. I was trying to figure out whether or not to just go Baron and full clear Baron, or get enticed by Twin Harp. And I think that I went back and forth between Troya and Baron a couple of times, really overthinking it, really not willing to commit to one or the other, because it was pretty much a coin flip which one it was going to be at that point. And I had a commitment problem. I had a commitment problem.
Yeah, that was one advantage that Rivers had. He did absolutely everything in the overworld before going underground. He even popped in and found Mist Dragon at the Octomammoth spot, which didn't give anything worthwhile. But he thought, what tools do I have to actually beat Leviathan? That our other two runners also pretty much full cleared overworld, but weren't able to get past Leviathan. And when he got that crystal, he chased you through that underworld as quickly as he could.
Yeah. Yeah, when I saw Crystal at Odin, I kind of cursed myself a little bit, because I knew that somebody was going to dot done pretty quick, and I had a feeling it might have been Rivers.
But still, you know, that spot can have so many nasty bosses. This seed just happened to give one that was possible through, you know, use of J items and, you know, other clever strategies. But you showed us how to... If I was joking earlier that if we had a metric that was like key items per minute, you would be far and ahead in the lead just because of how efficiently you cleared out that underworld.
Yeah, I hit 10 key items by minute like 50 or something, I think.
It was pretty awesome. Hopefully you'll continue to dazzle us tomorrow night. Of course, you, me, Vitasia, and Abda Jr. have our Zima Zone race at 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. So after watching how thoroughly you wrecked this seed with that quick underground dive, I'm scared. I gotta go practice. We need to wrap this up. I gotta practice.
You give me a lot of credit, Invenerable. Thank you very much for that. I'm just looking forward to a good race.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we do have our third featured restream, Scratch Dragon entering the Zeromus fight. Do you have anything else you want to add tonight, Muppets? Any other thoughts about the seed?
Not particularly, no. It was pretty straightforward. Just, kids, if you're watching, commit.
Wait, is this Love Line with Muppets in Space, or are we still talking about Free Enterprise?
This is Zemus Line with Muppets in Space.
Oh my.
You're on the air, Colin.
Oh my goodness. Well, GG Muppets in Space either way. Not so GG tomorrow night because, you know, but
yeah.
GG to that anyway.
Hey, I bow to you guys.
Well, Muppets, thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful evening. Good luck and have fun tomorrow night. We'll see you on IRC before we throw it down.
That's right. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
You too, dude.
Now, meanwhile, we do have Scratch Dragon that is on his fight now with Adamamus. Crimson Avix went to Leviathan, but died, so he backed out and is doing Twin Harp right now.
Ooh. Probably going to clear some other spots. Hopefully, if Crim does clear out the Earth, at least decides, let me double down, let me finish Odin before going to the moon. And you'd think, seeing some of these .duns, which, by the way, we do have a 4th place finisher, Night Dew, with an SRL time of 1 hour, 38 minutes, and 26 seconds. If Crim is paying attention to IRC and metagaming, they'll probably think, okay, going to the moon, probably not the best idea. Let me just grind it out on Earth and find that crystal.
Oh, absolutely. Like, and that is unfortunately one of the things that you can do, and it's not technically against the rules, is you see the dot done, you're like, Dark Crystal was buried quite a bit. It's probably not on the moon. And it's just something natural that I think every runner ends up doing, and you metagame like that. I don't know anyone who completely closes SRL until they're ready to hit the dot done, because I have my dot done typed out while the zero miss fight is going. That way, as soon as that flash hits, I'm hit that enter key.
Exactly same. And and that's another thing too. If you decide to possibly forget or purposely skip an overworld location, and then you see someone finish the scene in 45 minutes, you're like, oh, I've made a huge mistake.
Well, and that's the nice thing I think about the league races as we have them set up, because they're quad races. I mean, you have to make those certain gambles, but at some point after you commit, you're like, I'm done. Like, if you see a dot done at 45 minutes, you're like, well, I made the bad gamble here, and then you're done. Everyone is racing to that slot if they haven't already been to it.
And I will say that although earlier we were hyping up Rivers McCown a bit, amazing runner of Final Fantasy IV, both vanilla and free enterprise, community leader, helps organize all this stuff. This is still anyone's game, and we saw this in our Tuesday night league match. Our first place finisher was an up-and-coming runner named Supremacy, who beat some very established runners by over 40 minutes. Like, the difference between first place and second place was 40-something minutes, and then second through fourth all came in in about 5 minutes of each other. So don't think just because someone is a big name in the community, someone has won a bunch of races, that they're unassailable. And we may get to see that in action coming up in just a few minutes on a RPG Limit Break with yet another round of 32 match.
Absolutely. We do have kind of an interesting matchup here that's about to take place here before too long. Mr. Ubique, Couch 23, Dusty Griff, and Z-Man. I think everyone in the league is really a high-quality runner, except for that scrub Vitasia. I don't know how he snuck it.
You say that, and then you're going to end up winning tomorrow by 20 minutes, and just don't sandbag us, Vitasia.
It's all about, I'm a pool shark. I'm just going to set you guys up here.
We do, by the way, have a 5th place finisher, Salty Fry. Hey, I recognize that name. Has finished in 5th place with a 1 hour, 44 minute, and 17-second finish. GG Salty Fry, eking out ahead of Scratch Dragon.
Yeah, another snipe. Just all the snipes are coming in tonight. Ooh. So at this point, it's a question of when will Crimson get over there to the Odin spot to beat Leviathan. He's been there once and died, and the interesting thing is when you fight that death, sometimes you kind of mentally write that spot off and say, if it's there, I've already lost. He might be seeing these dot duns and thinking he's metagaming going elsewhere.
On the other hand, you have people who are just stubborn, and it's like, wait, okay, I've died 3 times in a row, but if I change just one thing, I may be able to get through there. Not talking about anyone in particular, me, but there are people like that.
I think everyone's done that. Like, yes, you can say that. Oh, we do have a package from Crimson, so I don't know if we've actually seen the package character yet. I
don't think we have. We have, again, most of our our featured runners have really great, sorry, I'm laughing at the Chrono Trigger logo on Muppets, part of the restream. We have really great teams, but Crim looks like they are going to check that spot.
Oh, and not saving. He's committing to it, so not saving for a quick reset. And it's an edge. That's where our edge character was. I don't know. Would you trade an edge or an Edward for an edge at this point?
Ooh, I mean, he's a strictly better character by pretty much every measure, but it's still using time that you don't really need to be using.
I mean, we can metagame, though. We know exactly where he needs to go.
That's true, but there's not actually a key item through this path unless you end up fighting Mist Dragon in the Kaipo Inn. Maybe he's thinking that if I get this ninja, I'll have an easier time with the Leviathan fight.
All right, so let's see. Who else do we have left running anyway?
Let's go ahead and pull. Okay, you're pulling it up.
Yeah.
You got this.
So yeah, we still have quite a few runners. I mean, Liam Atlas, Scratch Dragon, Aizen Teyama, Kabuto Zero, Dipwood, Nitsky, Crimson Avix, and Rumblefish. So we still have a lot of things going on, a lot of runners going on. We just happen to get, 2 of the top finishers, and Scratch is about done as well. Crimson is right there as soon as he just goes back to Leviathan.
And we do have a Meteo pouring down upon the head of Scratch Dragon. Very good sign. Means we're in that last, 12,000 HP. So should be a quick finish for him at this point.
Yeah, it's looking strong, and I think this last cast is going to do it from that nuke.
There we go. Scratch Dragon has finished in 6th place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 47 minutes, and 44 seconds. GG Scratch Dragon. Let's see if we can get Scratch in here for a little bit of an interview in a moment.
And wait, what? He kept Edward?
I'm guessing as Edward is already a pretty high level and doesn't want to spend the time grinding up another character.
But why would you... Wait, what?
So I don't understand. I don't understand it at all. It may be just frustration. I know that if I've had, difficulties, it does look like he's hunting Mist Dragon now since he is checking these other boss spots. But I know that if I've had difficulties at a certain point, it's very easy to get a little frustrated. But, these things happen. Still playing well. And, oh, he did take Edge. Who did he get rid of then?
Yeah, I think he got rid of Tella at that point in time.
Interesting. I mean, Tella does have utility, both for the spells and the low agility. But between Tella and Edward?
I mean, unless you have, you have to have a very specific set of equipment for me to have Edward. Early game, you're Dancing Dagger. But late game, I'm thinking, if you don't have Artemis Bow, Artemis Arrows, Power Robe, you're done.
We do have a 7th place finisher as well, by the way. Aizen Toyama has finished in 7th place with a time of 1 hour, 49 minutes, and 50 seconds.
Yeah, we'll see if we can't. I see Scratch Dragon. Yeah, we'll see if he can't just pull him in here. There he is. GG Scratch Dragon. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you. I didn't realize I could join. I didn't know I could do that, officer.
I mean, the first time I was racing on a Speed Gaming Network and was pulled in, I didn't realize that either. It's like, oh, join here first. Okay, I'll wait my turn. And then everyone else finished, and there was no turn to be had. But glad to have you. What did you think of the scene?
I mean, it was pretty straightforward, to be honest. I mean, I spent a lot of time doing, well, I won't say junk, but just getting a lot of stuff out of the way. You saw that I cleared out most of the overworld before diving on Hook. And then the sad part is I just didn't have the experience or the know-how to do Leviathan early. If I had been able to do it the first time round, I probably would have finished a lot faster, but what can you do?
Absolutely, and I'll go ahead and let you know that if you do get a chance to watch the VOD of this, of our 4 featured runners, Rivers took care of the Leviathan and Odin before heading to the Underworld. So if you want a good example of a way to handle that spot at lower levels, you were part of a race that offers one for you.
Oh, okay, very good. I usually go back and rewatch the races to see what I can pick up. There was a lot of neat tech that I picked up this time around between using the hourglasses on enemies. The Calbrainas were super easy, and just a lot of neat little things you would never think about using in the game normally, to be honest.
Oh yeah, especially because all of us who grew up playing the vanilla version we didn't even have these items at our disposal, let alone realize, oh, I can use it on this boss and this boss and this boss. So definitely lots of stuff to learn in this, even if you think you know Final Fantasy IV start to finish.
Right. I just want to know, you guys were watching when I walked into Dwarf Castle, right? Did you have that butt clench moment like I did? The moment you saw Wyvern?
Oh, yes. Yes. Okay, you weren't the only one to do that with Wyvern. I mean, you had, I think you, was it just Rosa that survived that?
No, it was just Kane. Kane got his turn. I got the item real quick, and I was there like, am I gonna make this?
Yeah, I think that because Muppets had done a little bit extra grind, he was actually able to get Starveils off on 3 of his characters before that fight. So Wyvern just nuked itself so hard, and Tella took a nap. But yeah, getting those Starveils off in time, it makes such a huge difference on those Wyvern fights. Absolutely.
Yeah, I actually had a backup strat for that because when I was doing, there was another boss that I was doing where oh, hold on one second.
Oh, you're good.
Not a problem. We do see Crimson looks like he's setting up a mini grind here.
my niece wanted a hug, sorry.
Oh,
Say
I
hi,
thought she was
Noe.
saying egg.
egg.
It's like, yes, he's doing the egg grind.
Yeah, but my niece just came in to give me a hug for actually finishing.
Aww.
So
Get her hooked on the video games early. I see what you're doing.
don't need that. They have tablets nowadays. She doesn't realize that the Super Nintendo is much older than she is. But
The Super Nintendo is older than some of our competitors in this league. What are you talking about?
I mean, you're not wrong. But yeah, this was actually if anyone was watching, this is a very like how to play Final Fantasy by the book seeds. Here's the things you can do for bosses kind of run for me. So that's all I got to say about it.
And by the way, of course, before you take off, we've been talking off and on about upcoming Zemus Zone matches, and just wanted to check and see, do you have any of your round of 32 matches coming up? You want to hype a little bit?
I do. I don't remember what days they are on, actually. Give me 1 second to pull that up.
Well,
I should probably remember these things.
I have it pulled up for you if you want me to go ahead and spoil it.
Oh, go. Absolutely. Go ahead. Hype them up for me.
All right, Scratch Dragon has 2 matches upcoming on the exact same day, doing a double header. You are more courageous than I am by far, sir. That is Tuesday, August 7th, at both 18:15. I am not a military person. 6:15 p.m. Eastern, and then 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern, back to back. Good luck to you. Please don't get your seeds confused.
Well, no. It's easy. You see, you just have to think about it this way. I do the first run. If I win, I want to keep the roll going. If I lose, I want the salty run back.
Brilliant.
That's one way to do it. Yep.
You see, when I get salty, I'm always halfway torn between doing the run back and putting the game down and playing something the complete opposite of it. Nope. Had enough. The game has abused me. I am done with you for the evening.
Should I call the sheltered for beating RPG runners?
Well, probably more on other games than Final Fantasy IV, thankfully. Catch me on that Earthbound grind or that Mystic Quest grind.
Oh, God bless you on both of those. I gave up the Mystic Quest grind once I think I got a 103.
Wow.
The stars aligned is all I have to say. Good gravy, that game. But yeah, thanks for having me, and you guys have a good night.
Hey, you too. Good luck on your upcoming matches. Thanks for being restreamed.
All right, thank you.
All right, that was Scratch Dragon. Again, that's going to be there on Tuesday, August the 7th, over on RPG Limit Break at 6:15. Little secret, I think I'm doing commentary on that one too. He's going to get tired of hearing my voice, I tell you what.
Hey, as long as he's watching those replays, maybe. But nah, yeah. And we know that at least Scratch Dragon's first match is scheduled for restream. The second one, still up in the air, but that first one, if you want more Scratch Dragon, there's your chance. So Crimson Avix here, going ahead and doing an egg grind, does have 10 key items, getting the double XP. Question is, how far does Crim intend to go here? And once done, is he going to go right back to Odin? Well, Leviathan at Odin.
You know, that's got to be my thinking. One of the reasons he's doing the grind, he's going to do that and then run up there. He might be metagaming and know by now that it's got to be at that spot, because if it's up on the moon, then there would be a lot more people finishing a lot faster, or fewer people finishing as fast as we've done.
Also true, and we've not had a finish since Eizen Toyama at about the 1 hour 50-minute mark, which means that if I had to guess, a lot of our remaining runners have probably gambled on Moon instead of Odin and are clearing out all those bosses, which of course takes even longer. Looking good though, Crim, with these levels in the lower 50s. Still wants a little bit more.
I mean, Edward percent is always a little bit risky.
Also true.
Also, he doesn't... I think he's just using middle swords on Edge. If I'm looking at his equipment properly, there's some Masamunes and some Murasames that are out there that are could be really great for Edge, but I don't know if Crimson ever actually found them.
Yeah, I mean, if he's hung up on doing Leviathan at Odin, well, we do know that the fight at the Asura spot has a Masamune for Edge, which would be a huge DPS increase. So I'm wondering now, how much is Crim going to grind? And when finished, where is Crim going to go?
I mean, at this point in time, his HP is perfectly situated. If he wanted to do Zero Mist right now, he could absolutely do it. I mean, sans crystal, but you know what I mean.
All right, finally flying off. Let's see. All right, looks like gonna go for Asura and Leviathan vanilla spots, which of course, a win here gets a Crimson his Masamune. So Edge will be hitting like a truck at that point. But of course, we know not ultimately where he needs to go.
Nope, we know exactly where he needs to go, and he's been there. It's just a matter of getting there. And I need to quickly plug, if you're still watching us and watching Crimson Apex, I love you for sticking around and listening to Invent and I just gonna shoot the breeze. But there's a slightly more important race that's just about to start over on RPG Limit Break. It is the second match of our league race. Mr. You Beat, Couch 23, Dusty Griff, and Z-Man about to start off. If you haven't, I mean, pull them both up, watch them both. Listen to us, listen to them. But 4 great runners are going to be going on over at that league, and the match is about to start. So get over there.
If you're not watching like every single racing channel on Twitch on just a wall of monitors, like you're the architect in the Matrix, what are you doing with your life? Come on.
I mean, that's how I do it.
Absolutely. All right. Crimson going after these bosses. We know what he'll find here. Hopefully he gets them done without too much issue, narrows down his spots, and goes to knock out Odin.
I'm kind of interested in this Chrono Trigger randomizer that Muppets is playing. Jerk, I'm going to have to learn about this more.
Yeah, actually, I believe it's a couple of the Free Enterprise runners who decided to try to turn the Chrono Trigger... There are already Chrono Trigger randomizers out there, of course, but trying to make an open-world styled one, not unlike, Free Enterprise, not unlike the Final Fantasy I randomizer, not unlike Link to the Past randomizer. One where you have options available to you that are gated by other options, instead of it just being play through vanilla game with different abilities and characters. Great style of randomizer, but if you love the open world decision tree strategical aspect, then it'd be pretty cool to see that pan out.
Yeah, so I'll be keeping an eye on that later on various speed gaming and rando channels. I mean, there are great randomizers for a lot of the classic SNES games because it fits in to a good, like, anywhere between 1 to 2.5 up to 3 hours. You know, you can do a complete game in one session. You know, there's some other randomizers out there for later, like 64 games, Ocarina of Time, that 6 hours is just too much for me. I have a life.
I mean, I don't have a life, and that's still a little too much for me. But, you know, love what you love. If you like that sort of thing, that's great. But, admittedly, racing that seems like it would be... It seems to be more of a long-form puzzle game. Like, okay, let's figure this out, than something where we can sit down and, you know, gotta go fast. That's why I love playing Free Enterprise. I love playing Link to the Past Randomizer, even though I'm terrible at it. And I'm probably going to end up learning the Final Fantasy I Randomizer, all for those same reasons. Let me strategize. Let me have choices available to me. Let me use the best tools in my toolkit to fight through each roadblock.
Preach it, brother.
While Crimson's working through this again, we will remind you that every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, we are live on one of the speed gaming channels with the Free Enterprise Community Race. We have another Community Race Monday nights at 9:30 Eastern, a little better for those fans of you on the West Coast. That occurs on the Randomania network of Twitch channels. And then there are pickup races all throughout the week as well. If you want to dive right in, join the Discord, hop into the races channel, type the eyes emoji, and someone will respond in very due course.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, that's the universal signal for, hey, you want to race? Like, it's... Okay, no, I can't say on air what I was thinking. But it's very akin to, like, offering to buy someone a drink in the bar. Be like, hey, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing? You want to do a little bit of that Free Enterprise action?
Absolutely.
Alright. Krim earned his Masamune. I believe he slapped that on edge. We're going to see some better damage out of our ninja. And now let's see him destroy this Dark Elf just as handily, I hope. Still have not seen a finisher since Eizen Tayama wrapped up the seed. I am guessing, I mean, I know I mentioned this already, but I'm wondering how many of our runners took that Darkness Crystal and went, you know, pow zoom straight to the moon.
You know, it's so easy to do. You get Darkness Crystal and you go for it because, as we talked about, there's... Okay, let's just count them. You have Bahamut, 1. Then you have Masamune spot, Murasame spot, 2 at the Ribbon spot, Crystal Sword, and White Lance. So that's, what, 7 locations up there?
Yep. There we go. We have an 8th place finisher. Dipwood has finished with an SRL time of 2 hours, 5 minutes, and 34 seconds. GG to Dipwood. Good finish. Especially if you took that moon bait and have been clearing out those moon bosses. The just easy way to fall down that rabbit hole, which, if you have a team that can handle it, it can be an amazing play. You know, you have Fu, you have Rosa, you have Kane and Yang, and at that point, you're like, I can handle this. I have J items, but then, you know, you end up fighting one bad boss in one bad spot, and it eats, you know, 10 minutes of your time. Very tricky gamble to make.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but the most difficult thing that I find when we do those K2 seeds where you have to go up to the moon is balancing your character levels. Because you don't want to... I mean, over-leveling is fine, but sometimes you just want to try to keep one guy at that great agility anchor, 14 or 28, and you try to set it early, and then you have to go up to the moon, and you're like, well, crap, that went out the window. And then you go up to the moon, and you have to full clear it, and then you just blow right past it. You're like, oh, well, I can't do that now.
So I have a feeling that Crimson Avix here is illustrating his real opinion of Edward as a character, leaving him not only in pig form, but lying on the ground. It almost looks like there's an apple stuck in his mouth. Dinner is served for the Dark Dragon.
It's true, but the Dark Elf is now dead.
Unfortunately, that means we're going to see our Luca key. And the question is,
Oh,
does
boy.
Crimson go check out that cave as well before heading back to Baron Castle?
From an efficiency perspective, you probably want to do that, but we know it's not what he should be doing.
Yeah. So let's see which way he flies his Enterprise. Is he going straight south? Oh no! Good. Oh, healing up. Never mind. Maybe headed back south, but dipping the heal pot in the Dwarven Castle basement right quick. Oh, that's funny. I guess Crimson hasn't actually done Dwarf Castle yet. Probably ran into Wyvern and decided to take no, I'm coming back here later.
I mean, that's a reasonable response to Wyvern.
Yeah, the lack of Fusoya in his party kind of illustrates this as well. But we'll see if the team is now ready to handle this spot.
Are you implying, sir, that he will keep Fusoya and ditch possibly a useless bard?
I mean, we can only hope. I would be quite surprised if that doesn't happen. But
That's
we'll see.
fair.
You know, surprisingly, Edward does have certain utility. Can of course go to there are your Starvels. Excellent. Can go to during the Zeromus fight, can hide during the big bangs, avoid that massive amount of damage, hop back out, throw a Cure 3 or a Life Potion, dip back into hiding. Other bosses as well. Some very rare strats that you can make use of with Edward. But Fu is still objectively better in pretty much every sense of the word.
I think that's a fair assessment. And we do see Liam Atlas did finish in 9th place, 208.58.
All right. And of course, we're going to see Antline in front of us and our lunar sage friend behind us. Have a feeling we're about to say goodbye to Edward at long last.
Let's hang on to that rune. I can see that, at least.
Rune Ring, very good item, giving buffs to both white and black magic, and having pretty decent magic defense and magic evade on top of that. We have a 10th place finisher. Kabuto Zero has finished with a time of 2 hours, 10 minutes, and 31 seconds. Looks like they're starting to roll in at this point.
Yeah, we might be getting to the point where those runners who went up to the moon boss have gotten the moon boss, all of them down instead. Oops. All right, so Crimson is going to get his other item that I hope I remember is correct and worthless. Oh, Darkness. That's actually, he did need to do this.
That's true. We did learn in the post-game credits earlier that the pass is at the Lunar Dragon spot on the moon. So you're not getting the pass without the Darkness Crystal. So that Wyvern fight is absolutely required.
Are you? Nope, nope, nope. No. Oh no, he's going to the moon.
Oh no, Krim! That darkness crystal is fully debating him.
Oh boy.
Well, on the bright side, for those of you still tuned in, we are going to get to see the moon bosses, the moon items, see what may have been waiting for us there.
I mean, I'm excited just to be a part of it.
I mean, I don't know if we have the 17 of 17 Franker Z emote in chat. Quickly browse through mine right quick. Oh, not seeing it.
I need to get my one up for 17 of 17 on my channel too.
Absolutely. Just for when the seeds go into full troll mode.
And that's literally the worst. I mean, I'm glad he got it because he will eventually need it. We just happen to know that it was the worst thing for him to possibly find at that exact moment.
Yeah, because again, having already done his grind and now having Fusoya, he's able to tackle any of these bosses, but he's also able to tackle Leviathan. Oh well, these things happen. And we'll see if we can't make a little bit of a show of it. At least enjoy, the shenanigans that Crimson runs into.
Well, and here's the mentality I think that you want to do if you're Crimson Avix. And depending if this was like a one-on-one race, I would behave this way. I don't know if I would behave this way in kind of a community race like this, but in a one-on-one race, if you go someplace and gamble it and then you lose, sometimes it's better just to say, okay, I've already gambled this spot. I've lost time here already. Cut your losses and go and finish clearing everything else. Because if it's there, you've lost time. But if it's not there, you save time leaving.
Absolutely. And that is one thing I also like about the fact that the round of 32 is, and even all the way to the final match, have at minimum 4 players per match. So that you have to evaluate the best possible option. It can't just be, I messed up here, I have to keep going. You're not just fighting against that one other player who made it through that spot, you're fighting against another 2 even on top of that one who may have been banging their head against the wall just like you were. Alright, heading straight to the Vanilla Pale Dim spot. Let's see which boss is guarding it. I believe this is where you get that Murasame in the vanilla game.
I believe so, yeah. The Masamune is in that crystal room.
Yeah, with Ogopogo. So we have Dr. Luge and Balnab. The two-phase fight, of course. After they cleared this one, they have to do Luge a second time. Spot has pretty decent physical attack, so hopefully... Okay, good. Because the HP, though, are divided up amongst 3 or 4 different enemies, it's not quite as bad as it would be if it were just one big HP pool hammering you with those physicals. Round 1 is done without Luge operating Balnab directly.
It's weird. I just Googled, because I looked at it. It was like, where does the name Balnab come from? And I just Googled it, and for some odd reason, it's giving me, what does C-3PO stand for? And I'm like, that's not what I asked Google.
Apparently, it's a planet in the extended Star Wars universe as well. So, given how a lot of Final Fantasy IV kind of references Star Wars, I wonder if that was intentional on the developers' parts or not.
Maybe. I mean, you never know.
Cecil, I am your brother. Etc.
God. Oh, God. Wedge.
I mean, we saw the lightsaber earlier in this scene.
We did see the lightsaber earlier. There's a Dragoon Lance, so that's... we'll see. Yeah, he's still rocking the Gungnir, so he's equipping that Dragoon over. It is interesting, in the original vanilla game, when it was released when we were kids, there wasn't the official kind of continuing meme in the Final Fantasy universe of having Biggs and Wedge, but two of the soldiers later are named Biggs and Wedge.
Oh, they renamed them in the later versions of it?
Yeah, in the later versions, like in the DS version and the Steam version, I believe two of the soldiers on Cecil's ship are named Biggs and Wedge. And in the after years, Biggs and Wedge are named characters that helped Theodore out.
Oh, well, that's cool. They had to keep running with that style as well. What was the first game we actually see them in? I believe it's Final Fantasy VI. I know you start with them at Terra at the start, and then they appear 7, 8. But I was wondering if there were any of the other ones that we didn't get, like the the Japanese 2, 3, and 5. I don't think they're in 5, but maybe 2 or 3?
I mean, I don't recall. I don't believe so, but I can't say I played through. I mean, we know they're not in 1 because literally no one is named in 1 other than Garland.
Yeah, pretty accurate. And as someone who's recently been playing Final Fantasy 1 on PSP, learning that run, at least for the speedrun areas, you don't run into them either. Let's take a look back at... Oh, you just did. How many more entrants do we still have running? Oh, that was not you who typed .entrance. Allow me to type .entrance.
Oh, we do. We still have 1, 2... we have Nitsky, Crimson, and Rumblefish. So we still have 3 runners total.
Yep, so let's see how the 3 of them managed to finish the race. Maybe they're still angling over each other. Maybe they hiccuped over the Odin spot as well. Golbez hit the Wyvern spot.
Oh, God, that's horrible.
Oh, that could be rough.
Luckily, the Wyvern spot doesn't have a ton of HP. Like, it just hits like a truck. Actually,
One of the things is that the vanilla spot's magic attack for Mega Nuke purposes is pretty low. Really low, in fact. So, provided that it's one-to-one correspondence with how Boardface programmed the boss randomization, we could see Golbez's spells here doing relatively little damage. It's just Mega Nuke, the spell, has such high spell power that it still wails on you.
Is there a spot in the game that has such low magic attack that even a Mega Nuke has the potential to not kill you?
Well, there are plenty of spots where if you have high enough magic evade, you'll dodge each of the Mega Nuke rolls and just not take damage at all. And then there are other spots where if your HP are high enough, you will straight up survive it for similar reasons. But yeah, like Golbez here will not less than 1,000 damage to himself with a Lightning 3. Very low magic attack spot. If we want to get really nerdy with the algorithms and everything of this game, so monsters are assigned a magic attack power. Your characters are all based on wisdom or will, depending on what spell they're casting. So for monsters, you take whatever their spell power is at the time, divide it by 4, add 1 to it. And that's how many rolls of a spell are made. And each roll of the spell is made at 1.0 to 1.5 times its spell power. So, for instance, Big Bang will do, I believe it is 9 rolls of 200 to 300 damage. Spell power is 200, and then when you do the divide by 4 and add 1, you get 9 rolls. And that's why unnerfed Big Bangs will usually top out no higher than 2,700, and will do a minimum of 1,800, unless you dodge part of it, which you can with your magic evade. But that's neither here nor there. Just, filling a little air during the Golbez fight here. But that's why in Vanilla, even a Mega Nuke, which Vanilla FF4, we didn't have Star Veils, and getting a wall off in time was very tricky. So you really just had to hope to tank the, I guess, around 2,000, 3,000 damage that the pretty weak Mega Nuke does in this spot. Sorry, this has been math class on your Speed Gaming 3 network. Be sure to turn in your homework before you go home this evening.
Huh? Oh, sorry? Did I? Oh, we're done with the fight. I'm sorry. I fell asleep there a little bit.
That's
No,
it. See me after class, Vitasia.
You promise? No, never mind.
The Avenger Sword. One of my favorite weapons in the game, and of course auto berserking, whichever knight can wield it, those being Kain and Paladin Cecil. Very handy, but again, not what Krim wants to see at this point.
No, and we know what he needs to do to get where he's at. The problem, I mean, he's about halfway done. He's not going to be feeling very good about himself at this point.
Oh yeah, as soon as he finishes the moon and sees no crystal, he'll be very, very annoyed at not having forced his way through Leviathan early.
All right, so first he's going to do the twofer spot at the Deep Lunars, and we have Mylan Z, that's not bad.
Yeah, he's relatively slow. He only does single target physical attacks. They may cause curse, and I think there's something in his script that'll occasionally make him poison you, but it should be completely trivial for his party at this point.
Well, as much as that is, he's weak to all sorts of fire attacks. So your nukes, your fire 3s if you really want to, even your whites and cures will damage him. So
Yeah.
Just go to town on him.
And Nuke actually not being fire elemental, but it's still the most powerful single target, fastest that you get, just very quick to go off, ridiculous damage. Fire 3 admittedly would give the a ×4 damage multiplier, but the question is, do you want to deal with the delay of casting it versus the instant count time on the nuke?
That's fair. And I don't know why it looks fiery, but I did not know it was non-elemental. Interesting.
Oh yeah, in Final Fantasy IV it is. In some of the other Final Fantasies, it is fire elemental. Don't know why they didn't do it here, but yeah. If it were fire elemental, we would have seen Mylan Z light up there for 9999.
And we are blowing levels out of the water. Even Fu gained 2 levels right there.
Yeah, probably the most finding the pass does not intend to redo the moon after finishing up here. Yeah, with 10 key items, you will get 200,000 XP from that fight. And like you said, even Fu is going to gain some levels at that rate.
All right, and here comes the White Land. So he's got 2 more spots left. So this is originally the Plague location.
Oh, and it's a freebie. If this were, well, even if this were N2, you know, the harder version of No Free Lunch, where you just have to burn through the enemy HP, King and Queen Evelyn still only attack with Piddly, Fire 1 and Fire 2. Nothing to worry about. So this is a gimme no matter what.
And our magic dodge is so high at this point that they just are straight up dodging the Fire 2s.
Yeah, and Plague is another very low magic attack spot. In the vanilla game, it only uses the 1 count ability on you, which it just has flat out 100, like, perfect hit rate. It just hits you, you get your timer, beat it within 10 ATB ticks, or use, you know, techniques around that. So any boss that ends up getting stuck in this spot, not going to be that scary. And in fact, with the King Evelyn dead, on her next turn, she will just use Vanish, which just a monster kills itself. Don't even have to do the work. You don't have to do the work yourself, as long as you're on N0 or N1. Our tracker Alexa correctly pointing out that it will also cast the fast spell on you. And if you notice how often the fast spell fails when it casts it, that's another thing pointing out how bad its magic attack is. Let alone the fact that the fast doesn't actually make your timer go faster. It just makes you go faster.
And hey, there's the pink tail. So the only thing we haven't found up to this point in time is the spoon. So this is going to be the spoon, isn't it?
Not necessarily. There's still the Bahamut spot.
Okay, yeah.
And did... Well, yeah, and we know Mr. Dragon doesn't have it. So it's either this or Bahamut will have the spoon, and then finally Odin, of course, will have the crystal. Oh, Alexa confirming, the spoon is at Bahamut. We have seen it.
And the water hag. 3 hits and we're done.
Another freebie. Under these flags, of course. Water hag under N2 can hit like a truck in the right spot.
And has quite a bit of HP as well, if I recall. Or that's dependent on, yeah.
Oh yeah, just depends on boss spot. In the vanilla game, Water Hag actually has so many HP that even if Edward could hit 3 hits at max damage, you wouldn't cover all the HP.
Wow.
Yeah, it's coded in, like, I think, the 40,000s.
Ribbon. And Crimson is going now through his head and says, uh-oh.
Yeah. And Alexa and Byrne both pointing out that the spoon was at Bahamut. We saw that in the end credits, though.
Oh, right,
so,
yeah.
Crimson could still go there before going to Earth. Wouldn't surprise me. Let's make this 17 of 17. 18 of 18, even, with the pass. Gotta catch them all, gotta catch them all.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. All right, so yeah, we gotta be going to Bahamut. It's just the logical play.
Oh yeah, going to the front console instead of to the crystal to fly to Earth. We're doing it, baby. 18 of 18, let's go.
It happens on on every K2 seed that I've seen that's been restreamed. Someone does the full 18 of 18. I mean, it just happens.
Like, usually the only time you won't see... Like, if you have a sufficient number of runners, you'll probably end up seeing it if it's in any of the K2 spots guarded by a remotely nasty boss. Exception would be if, like, Miss Dragon has like, you know, the spoon, and is hidden on the Giant of Babel. Then we're never going to see that key item. But if you have even one nasty boss at Asura, Leviathan, or Odin, unsurprising that someone's going to do a full clear.
And the 4 elements fight. What boss have we not seen that is possibly on Babel?
Oh, I mean, you know, I don't even use the boss tracker for my own streams, and here I've just been paying attention to key items, but we've not seen the Kaipo guards fight, I don't believe. They could still be there.
Have we seen Vanilla Bahamut? Or just Bahamut at all?
I don't think we've seen Bahamut. Yeah, so, and of course there's one boss that doesn't get rotated in anyway, because the Vanilla Water Hag spot is left out of Free Enterprise. Just kick that one out. Didn't want to fit it in. If you find the San Ruby and you go to Kaipo, congratulations, you're awarded enough. Alright, so it looks like we're missing Baron Guards, Rubicante, and Bahamut. So 2 of those 3 will be on the Giant of Babel. Oh, Evil Wall. Evil Wall, yes. Yes.
Well, and we never actually saw the Evil Wall boss.
Yeah, because everyone...
Cave.
Yeah, every time someone saw the Protect Ring, they just noped out and reset. So that gives us our... Okay, Evil Wall, Rubicante, Bahamut, Baron Guards, and then we are left with, at spots, Evil Wall, Elements, CPU. So there we go.
There's that spoon.
All right, 1 spot left, Krim. Let's do it. Time to have your rematch with Leviathan.
Hey, at least pass is going to be useful.
That's true. We are finally getting mileage out of the pass. Admittedly, I'm sure Crimson is not that excited about getting this mileage out of it. But rando gonna rando. Sometimes you break the wall, sometimes the wall breaks you.
I mean, let's face it, in rando, the wall often breaks you. And he's picking up his actual Enterprise airship. And wait, where? What?
Is Krim going for a quick heal? I'm guessing.
Maybe he's thinking. He's like, what have I missed?
I'm wondering if at this point, depending on the tracker he's using, if Krim may have already marked off Odin and just forgotten about it. Maybe going back here to think, wait, I thought this was not a useful item. Let me go double check.
Yeah, so it does look like he has mismarked his tracker on his end, and he did leave us a message in the SRL that said he admits he's lost at this point. So at this point, he says he wants to go ahead and cut the stream so that he can finish offline, just so he's not holding us or anyone else up. Remember, there's another race that is going on right now over at RPG Limit Break. It's where I'm going to be headed immediately after this. We're going to take a look at those Forerunners, because I think we all have races against them at some point.
I definitely have a race against at least one of those four, who I should probably be closely observing for strategical purposes.
Hey, it's just good strategery.
Gotcha. Well, I suppose we are about to head out. Again, it's been a pleasure broadcasting with you, Vitasia. Thank you so much tonight.
Oh, as well to you, Invenerable. You've been amazing at this point in time. Thank you for commentating with me. I know we were a little bit worried about if I was soloing tonight earlier in the week. So thank you so much for babysitting me.
Hey, it's no problem. I love doing this. I love getting to watch other people race, get ideas from them, see strats that I may have missed out on, and just introduce more people to my favorite rando. So it's been a blast.
Oh, it absolutely has been. Remember, head on over to RPG Limit Break. There's another race going on right now. Otherwise, that's going to do it from us for tonight. Again, my name's Vitasia.
And my name's Invenerable.
And a big shout out also to Alexa LaFay, who's she's been helping us out so much with the tracking tonight. Thank you so much, Alexa. And we will see you guys at the next race.
Good night, everybody.